Welcome to the Passive Income Podcast 2-year anniversary live stream. Thank you all so much for being here. We've got Savings Captain Tom, we've got Tim, a Grid Sentinel, Jen, Sandstone Dave, the beautiful Dr. Farah, and of course, Anthony. We are expecting more to join here. Actually, who's joining right now? Oh, Ryan is joining. His camera is off or not working, so maybe we'll get that sorted here. There's his camera. And yeah, I know Dr. Farah Sutton is limited on time this morning. I'm not sure how long she's going to be able to stay. So I'm going to throw it over to you first, and let's just see where the conversation takes us.
Yeah. So I'll give a little bit of an Arizona real estate update. We do have some transactions that are pending that has increased since what we were seeing the slowdown this summer, which it's always usually a little bit slower in the summer just because it's so hot. No one wants to look at houses here. But we are seeing that going up, even though the Fed cut rates, right? But like mortgage rates actually ticked up a little bit, but perception is reality, I think, is a lot of it. And buyers and people saw that the Fed is cutting. And so therefore, like overall, it's trending down. And I think you have a lot more buyers and investors hopping in, even though that the reality of it is the mortgage rate did go up just a slight bit. So anyone else want to reload?
Okay, anyone want to add to real estate? And I guess the big key there was the interest rates, right?
Yeah, it's perception. I mean, it did go down. And the Fed cutting has changed people's perception of where we're going, and they're hopping back in to invest. I mean, just last week I had 3 different multifamily investors reach out saying, "Hey, we're ready to start looking again." We have seen like some cap rate improvement from a buyer perspective, not from a seller perspective, but where the returns are a little bit better. And so they're hopping back in the market. I will say with that, though, especially in the multifamily space, is that rental rates have decreased more so than on the sale side of it.
Right.
So
I noticed we've got some Canadians here in the house now, Anthony and Boomer and Ryan.
Wait for Newfoundland and Labrador to expand its cell phone ban to grade 7 and up.
Okay, who's listening to the Newfoundland and Labrador cell phone ban? I don't know about that. Just interest rates cut, though. If I'm not mistaken, in the U.S., did the Fed cut by 50 basis points earlier in September? Is that right?
Yeah.
Yes.
And then, okay, Canadian guys, we've had 3 cuts, all at 25 basis points in the last, say, 4 to 6 months. Is that right? Anthony?
Something like that. Yeah. I haven't been following interest rates that much.
I don't know about Canada.
Less than I probably should. But as you know, I don't own any real estate, right? I'm only in stocks, and I try as much as I can to buy businesses at valuations that, regardless of where the interest rates are, they're still kind of going to be okay, kind of thing. So, but yeah, they've it's been something like what you said in terms of interest rates for us.
Yeah, the real estate in California.
Yeah, maybe Boomer would have been a better person to ask.
Yeah, we've had 3 cuts.
Okay.
The real estate in California with the cuts.
Let's get some more people in the conversation.
Go ahead.
Is it lag or is it just me?
Yeah, I guess I'll jump in. So first of all, Dave, congrats on 2 years with your podcast. And, thanks again for having us on the show. So I guess as far as I really follow interest rates is more from the perspective of businesses being able to refinance at lower rates. So I'm just thinking of like some of the big themes that are out there right now, obviously, are AI. And what does it take to drive that is a lot of energy, a lot of power. So when I'm looking at what do I want to invest in through the end of the year and honestly through the rest of next year, I'm thinking of companies like Brookfield Renewable, even Brookfield Infrastructure, Fortis, a lot of these companies that are going to be the ones needing to provide that energy. to companies like Oracle, Microsoft, and all of these ones that have the data centers and and are layering their tech on top of that. So yeah, anyway, that's kind of from the perspective of interest rates. That's really where I'm following it from.
Right.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Let's get some more people.
So are
in the
you investing
conversation.
heavily in
Tom,
that
Tim,
space
Dave?
moving forward?
That's my plan. Like, honestly, there's a few. I mean, if I see opportunities elsewhere, I'll go ahead with that. But really, that's where I'm looking to go. Companies that are paying solid dividends, like even Brookfield Renewable. I was just looking this morning, and the dividends around just over 5%. And if you can get that on top of 5 to 9% growth per year, in a space that not only are they going to need crazy amounts of energy. Like, I was just reading the Oracle quarterly earnings call, and Larry Ellison was talking about how they're building these gigawatt data centers that are going to require even small nuclear reactors to power it because of how much energy this is going to require. And if you think about the public's appetite for this type of energy, again, like I said, if you have renewable energy, that's where these companies are going to need to pair up so they can have achieve their zero carbon emission goals by 2030 or 2050 or whatever the company is, right? Yes, so it's kind of through that lens. I think these things are still pretty cheap. These companies are still pretty cheap based on what the needs are going to be. Like, it's very easy to predict that the needs are going to be skyrocketing well into the future. Even if technology gets more efficient and it requires less energy, it's still going to require crazy amounts of energy. Yeah.
Oh, I totally agree with that energy comment. So that's why I'm invested in EOS. I don't know if you guys have EOS on your radar. The ticker symbol is EOSE. But we have outperformed NVIDIA this year, so that's pretty exciting. And they do long-term stationary power storage. So I agree with you completely. AI is really growing, but what they're going to need is a ton of power. So I think it would behoove people to be investing in energy. So I'm heavily invested in energy, and then of course Tesla. But I agree with you. And then on the comment about dividends, while 5% is great, I never hear anybody talking about Gabelli Equity Trust, and that is a closed-ended triple leveraged fund that has existed since the 1980s and gives a dividend of 9 to 11% annually consistently. So I don't know. I just thought I'd throw that out there since it's a dividend channel. But yeah, I love the comment on power for sure.
Yeah, it looks like 11% on Gabelli.
Yeah, 9 to 11% annually. And it's run by billionaire Mario Gabelli of New York.
Mhm.
And there's actually a school of business at Fordham University, Gabelli School of Business. So it's very legitimate. For some reason, Robinhood dropped that stock. You can't buy it on Robinhood anymore because it is a triple leverage closed-ended fund, which typically they're very risky. But this one seems to be pretty stable. So that's my big pick for dividends.
Very cool.
So I tend to agree about utilities and being a good pick for the upcoming AI. I believe in going to the granddaddy of all utility stocks. My company is 4% owned in Duke Energy, ticker Delta Uniform Kilo, Duke Energy. It is an $88 billion market cap. So I am in concurrence with the fact that utility companies are the way to go with respect to the AI and the amount of energy needed to source and fuel AI.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm
And
in
that's
favor with
also
everybody else.
a dividend too.
I'm going to jump in that one, save Mr. Stanzone. Dave, congratulations! 2 years, man. It's excellent. Really, really proud to be part
Thank
of
you.
it. Dude, it's really, really unbelievable. I'm sure all of us would agree that what you've done and what you've created here to give us a chance to share our stories and everybody kind of gets that personal touch with you. It's fantastic. Man. I want to commend you. 2 years, fantastic.
Yeah, and also congrats too, Dave, on your business, Love Logistics.
Absolutely.
That's pretty cool.
You're on a
Tell
roll,
us a little
Dave.
bit more about it if you can.
I'm going, man.
Yeah, you should.
Yeah, sure. Well,
Good luck,
first, Nick, thank you so much for the praise and congratulations on the 2-year anniversary. take a look at the bottom of the screen there at the ticker. If you're watching on YouTube, be sure to hit subscribe. That's the number one takeaway there. Yeah, the business Loves Logistics, literally just 3 years old. Sent my first invoice on Friday, and it's growing it's going to grow like crazy. Now, with that said, it obviously did help immensely that I was able to take literally hundreds of contacts, email addresses from my previous job sort of with me. I was smart enough before I left to email myself a good 100 or 150 email addresses. So that's that's the key.
On the professional side, Dave,
And
I'm
yeah,
the guy
the
who stops
site-
you from doing that, believe it or not.
Pardon me?
So on the professional side, I'm the guy who stops you from doing that typically.
Yeah.
It's great to see.
Well, yeah,
you
it's
guys.
like, well, is it ethically
Yeah.
correct? Maybe not, but is business like cutthroat? Yes. So you do what you got to do to survive, right?
Yeah.
So
Right, exactly.
Yeah, you didn't sign a non-waiver, non-compete agreement, right? You're good, as far as I know.
yeah, no, I'm
Not
not
legal
competing
advice.
with my previous employment in any way whatsoever. It's not direct competition at all. So it's
Right.
It just happens to be an overlap of industries, right? So
So you have that one truck in your possession now, Dave, and you'll be taking it on the road this week and stuff.
I should be getting it into my possession this coming week. Yeah. So I think if you saw my one post, I believe it was Thursday afternoon or Friday morning about being approved for financing on that truck. So
Is it a Tesla
that's
semi?
just sort of the next step.
Totally Tesla semi. Come on, love.
Sorry, what was that?
A Tesla semi. You got this, Dave.
Yeah, the Tesla Semi. Those are coming
Yeah.
next, right? So
Yeah, get approved for that. You're good.
well, in 5 years, we'll see. We'll see how big I grow this business, right? Like that's sort of the
Oh,
game
yeah.
plan is to grow the business sizably in 5 to 10 years, and then the exit strategy is like sell it to one of the bigger fish in the pond and retire with a nice pocket full of change.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So we've covered a bit of real estate and we talked about utilities. Does anyone have any other high conviction, I guess, themes for 2025 as we come into the end of the year?
Yeah.
Tesla Robotaxi. I mean, the cars drive themselves already. If you've seen actual smart summons, it's amazing. The car's already driving itself. So I guess we find out on Thursday what's going on with that. But 2025 is going to be very interesting for Tesla.
Yeah, I would agree
My
with that.
concern with that,
There's a lot of videos already showing the Teslas coming to the people pick them up in the parking lot.
Yeah.
It picked me up
Selling
last
their
night from
cars
dinner.
themselves.
Mine did.
That's awesome.
Really?
Yeah, we
Yep.
have them in South Florida. I mean, they're not Tesla robotaxis, but in our shopping centers, they're electric, auto, self-driving, self-automated taxis, if you will.
I mean, mine navigated a Sam's Club parking lot and picked me up. I mean, that's pretty impressive. There's a lot of people and carts and stuff everywhere, and it just handled it like a champ. It was really impressive.
My worry about
Tesla's-
that is in the U.S. with your, like, you guys have the most, I don't know, the craziest tort laws of any
Oh,
country
yeah.
in the world.
Yeah.
People are gonna be diving in front of self-driving cars, hoping to get run over.
Well,
I actually-
fortunately, there are cameras.
No, there's
There are
lots of
cameras.
but
If someone runs in front of the car and it's very obvious, they're not going to win. I do understand our tort laws are ridiculous. And for anybody that doesn't understand what tort is, it's when you can sue somebody privately for damages. But I don't know. I mean, our laws are interesting because everything's legal unless it's unless there's a law against it. Well, there aren't laws against self-driving cars in many states because they just didn't even think of it, which is fortunate because technically it's legal. So we'll find out. But I'm really not concerned with people jumping in front of the cars because we've been testing full self-drive for years and people aren't jumping in front of them now. It's just like when people claim that like the car's batteries, catch on fire all the time. And I say, well, how many Teslas do you see on the road? How many of them are on fire? There's a lot of FUD.
With respect to the people jumping in front of cars, like last night, I had a couple that walked right in front of it. It drives like 4 or 5 miles an hour. It's really, really slow. It doesn't haul through the parking lot. It's super cautious about it. And but I can still see weird things happening, you know, but it doesn't seem like it has a problem with reacting to like heavy traffic around it.
I mean, it's very cool.
Especially pedestrians.
Yeah, it's very cool.
It is. It honestly, it's kind of a fun party trick, but it's a little bit more. It's not necessarily a party trick. That's kind of doing it a disservice. It's really utilitarian. It's really helpful.
Right. So Tesla is kind of a very direct way to play that. Are there any other ways that anyone sees that you could, you know, profit from this trend toward whether it's, you know, driverless taxis or?
Well,
I think you guys are right. The energy
would say-
sector. I mean, really, if you think about it, right? 'Cause somebody's got to power all these. You know, they're going to roll up to a wireless charging station, likely wireless, and they're going to get power from somewhere. So playing that sector is definitely that's a way to play that. I feel like without going in directly into like Tesla, into NVIDIA, into AMD, any of these names that are big AI players, Microsoft. It's a different way to play it, and you're not. You know, you might get a better deal, I guess. Something, yeah,
because it's kind of like we're in this digital Klondike gold rush, and so again, you know that analogy, right? And it's just how do you find the companies that are selling the pickaxes and so on? So energy's like kind of an obvious one. That's kind of where my head's at, I guess, is just trying to think of other ways to play these where you don't have to pick the direct winner, because I think the winners are going to churn quite a bit, because it's like, okay, you have the coolest technology and you double down on that as a business, but then I don't know, NVIDIA puts out a new chip or something new comes along, and then that changes the game as far as what's possible. And if you've built all your infrastructure on like what was really cool yesterday, then you're going to, you know, maybe miss out on, or some new company can come in really quickly. And the barriers to entry are pretty low right now too, right? Because of, you know, software as a service, infrastructure as a service. You don't even have to have like a, you know, a whole built out team of engineers. You can leverage so much of what's already available on like through these companies that are offering these products, like whether it's Azure or what have you. You know,
you have something like I mean, if you want to play it like directly, but directly, but it maybe at a discount. You got other companies like Lucid and Rivian, right? They're not like big players right now,
right?
But I love Rivian. Rivian has his headquarters is down like a couple cities away from me, so I see them all the time. They're really nice cars.
They're so nice.
I feel like they have some room to run. They're not, you know, great right now. You know, they're still trying to meet their numbers, trying to gain profitability. But you know, it's almost like, you know, when Tesla's about to hit the skids, right? And it was really down and it just skyrocketed from there. Is this going to happen with Rivian? Well, hey, nobody knows, right? But it could.
And are they trying to do anything different from Tesla? Like, are they trying? Are they doing anything differently from Tesla, or like, do they have like something that, you know, stands out or differentiates?
It's a similar model, you know, like with the self-drive. It's not called self-drive and Rivian, but they're working on getting the data to do that without actually contracting with a company, like, you know, like getting data from Tesla or buying full self-drive as a package. They're working hard on their Gen 2 products to bring more data into their data centers to do that AI compute, right, to make sure that self-drive works. They have an auto drive right now and it does change lanes, but it does not do what Tesla can do. I mean, they're just an industry leader, and it's by a lot. So, but they're, you know, give them a few years and I'm curious where it goes, right? So.
Hey guys. Yeah, I mean, they're gorgeous cars. The interiors are amazing. Like if you're used to like a really high-end interior, like the higher-end Mercedes, that's what it reminds me of. But they're still very expensive. And in our current interest rate, you know, situation, I doubt they're doing that great. I mean, they're still selling cars though, so that is a testament to how great the vehicles are. But you know, I mean, the people that are buying Rivians over Teslas, when Tesla's technology is very better, their infrastructure is better, and they're less expensive, I feel like it's an emotional decision. I hope Rivian makes it. It's like the only other company that I love besides Tesla in the EV space. I mean, although don't get me wrong, Lucids are amazing. I have a friend that has a Lucid and it's gorgeous, but they're so expensive. Who is spending $200K on a car, you know?
You love them. Is that from like you love the cars, or you love it from an investment perspective?
I love it as the cars. From an investment
Yeah.
perspective, isn't Rivian down significantly? So there may be like some space there, but at the same time, if we're going into uncertainty, Rivian's not the company that I would go into. Now, as interest rates are coming down and like
Mhm.
the fever pitch happens of just money piling in, I think Rivian will be fantastic.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I'm looking at the stock chart right
Okay,
now.
I'm just going to jump in here quickly. Farah, I know you.
But I think she just left.
Yeah.
I think we lost Dave too, maybe.
No, he's there.
Can you hear him now? I think he froze.
No, I don't think he's talking.
No.
Is he?
Dave froze.
Yeah.
Okay,
Uh-oh. Well, we'll have
I
to
can
soldier
jump
on
in
without
for
Dave.
1 second. I got a question for everyone
are.
right now because
Sure.
I
Yeah.
find this year, compared to this time last year, let's say, market valuations have been getting really frothy. I mean, I'm assuming everyone
yeah.
you mostly invest in US and Canada, right?
Right.
So what are businesses now that you think are actually still good value? Because we're talking about Tesla and great companies, but I find it very expensive. So what is a buy
EOS.
right now, in your opinion?
I think
Absolutely EOS, and I'll tell you why. They have a Department of Energy loan for like $500 million that is almost closed. Like it may close next week, quite honestly. Also, Kamala Harris, which I'm not a fan, obviously, but she had mentioned the battery factory in Turtle Creek, Pennsylvania. That's EOS. It's sitting at like $3.14 right now. And my TA guys are telling me that if we cross 330, which we should shortly, there's not much resistance to $5. So, you know, with the FA being so positive, with them having this Department of Energy loan closing, they're having orders coming in and everything, the share price being so low still relatively. And then with the endorsement of the Democratic presidential candidate, I have a feeling that there is room to run for EOS.
What did you say the ticker was again? I tried to look it up. Was it EO?
EOSE.
EOSE.
Check out the 1 year chart. It's wild. It's my second position, like full disclosure. Tesla's number 1, EOS is number 2. I only hold 4 positions in the stock market. And then I'm a real estate investor.
Got it.
So it's moved a lot in the last 3 months, 3 to 4 months. It's jumped up a lot.
Yeah.
It's moved a lot in the last year, thank God. But yes, yeah. And that's because it's becoming more certain that the DOE loan is going to close. So that's kind of the background on EOS.
And if that doesn't happen, what's that do to them? Well, I guess it sounds like there's high certainty, but yeah.
I don't know. I mean, they already raised capital because they were required to raise capital to close the loan. So I'm not sure what their burn rate is. I would have to do a little more research because it's not even on my radar because I'm that sure that the loan will close, but I guess time will tell.
Got it.
Does anyone have any thoughts on same question as what I asked earlier, but on large cap businesses, say like 10 billion and above, that are mature and
Yeah,
profitable?
I
would
kind of
say
like
those
Chevron right now. I don't know if anybody has Chevron on their radar, ticker CVX. They have come down a decent amount from their all-time highs, and they've started to trend back up. But there is definitely, I feel like there's value on the table there for that particular company. They're not small by any shape, and they pay a decent dividend. They may be up to 23% undervalued based on my calculations, and I feel like I've been buying little stock slices on Schwab, like $50 at a time, out of it, and just kind of DCAing into the position I already had. But I do feel like there's value there in a sea of frothiness, like you said. 100%. All the valuations they're peaking real high right now. So trying to find that value.
I would say, Anthony, in Canada still, I think the REITs are now starting to move. They've suffered the last number of years, and as interest rates come down, those companies, stocks that are interest rate sensitive, to like the ones that suffered under high rates should be okay buys at this time now. They've had their punishment, like 5 years of it.
Yeah.
And so, or 2 years ago, I guess. And now they have a chance to come back, and they already have been. I think most of them are up a fair amount recently, but I think they've got room to move. But yeah, I mean, the market is, you know, I don't want to say it's overvalued, but it's pretty highly valued right now in general, the entire stock market.
I agree with the REITs. It's when the interest rates drop. I mean, who's going to benefit from that, right? I mean, dude. I mean, a lot of companies will obviously, but especially those because they have been punished.
I think REITs are hard though, because you have to look at their holdings. You know, a lot of REITs are holding commercial property, and commercial is suffering significantly. We're losing stores to Amazon, so all the retail space is dwindling, and then office space as well as people work from home or remotely. So, you know, I've been a real estate investor my entire adult life. I'm a third generation landlord. And I don't love REITs, to tell you the truth. If you look at real estate, when you're buying like rental real estate, right? If you manage it yourself, you're keeping the most profit. If you hire a property manager, you're giving up some of that profit to the property manager. A REIT is like another step down, where you're just giving more of the profit away and less, you have less control, you know. Now, if you trust them to manage your money, great. But what I'm seeing in the real estate market is that inventory is up for rentals, and prices are starting to come down in both rental real estate and in sales pricing. So, I mean, while lower prices are great for REITs, lower rental values are not.
Well, I would say for
you
REITs,
have a lot of REITs,
it
right?
also depends on their sector of the market. Most of them are commercial, but they're the ones that I mean, the business that I'm in, we're commercial landlords of warehousing, and those REITs that focus on warehousing are the ones that are benefiting from online shopping.
That's a very good point. I think you're right, that you have to look at their portfolio.
Yeah, I mean, the ones that are offices have been punished really heavily already. And retail, like the ones that own enclosed malls, they've gotten. But the ones that are more the outdoor malls are doing a little better, and the ones that are hold warehouses and hold distribution facilities have done very well, because that's where shopping is moving to. Amazon's got warehouses everywhere. So, yeah, it depends. It depends on sector, and it also depends on geographics too. It depends where they're located, because offices could be sucking way worse in certain cities or certain parts of the country or certain countries, and then not as bad in others. So it really depends on the specifics of any particular REIT.
Yeah,
which REIT do you like that's warehouse?
IIPR.
IIPR. Okay, I'll have to check it out. Because warehouse, I agree with you. Yeah, we need more warehouses. They're just going to be slamming. Everything else I don't trust with REITs.
Yeah. IIPR is marijuana. Basically, they lease out the land for all these marijuana dispensaries. And anybody look at the chart, and it's just done phenomenal. Another one for retail REIT, I own a lot of it, as you all know, is good old-fashioned the Realty Income Company. That has a 98% occupancy rate, so they're doing something right. And of course,
that's incredible.
And we all know Main Street Capital, phenomenal REITs.
Yeah.
Wow.
Got Vici Properties too.
Yeah, Vici.
Yeah, the Vegas property. Yeah, I know. Teddy owns a bunch of that. Yeah.
Yeah. Vici, I would say, I own some, but I love Vici. Vegas, Vegas got killed in 2007, 2008 when the economy went down. Like all the Vegas casino stocks went from like $50 or $100 down to $1 and $2. And if there's a downside in the economy, I think Vegas could suffer quite a bit, but it's that stock has done very well.
I don't know about you guys, like with commercial real estate in general, but like all of the malls around me are turning into like housing with restaurants around it. Like they're tearing the mall part down. So that's a rough go of it right now for sure.
Yeah, that's what I was actually going to go with it. I think if you look at RioCan, which is one of the big REITs in Canada, they're kind of changing their model. They're not just building these, these big outdoor malls or whatever the case is.
Right.
More that they have these necessity-based retailers that they're building on top of. So you have they're trying to put themselves near transit, so near a rail station or near public transportation. Have kind of some anchor tenants down below, and then some rentals above it. So it kind of has a built-in demand with those, you know, the people that are living there, and again, just being in a high traffic area. So they're kind of shedding all of their other real estate and trying to put as much as they can into the big metropolitan areas. So downtown Toronto, or you know, the big city cores in Canada at least, and I think that's kind of more the model. Because to your point, when I drive by some of these outlet malls, they're kind of turning into ghost towns.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I went down like a. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah.
Hi, everybody.
Nice.
I went down like a doomer rabbit hole a while ago, and then I bought a bunch of REITs that like focus on like retirement homes and like medical REITs and stuff, because I'm like, we have an aging population.
Like
And
Chartwell or
Chartwell, yeah. So I'm up like 35% on Chartwell, I'm pretty sure, and I'd have to look at my portfolio for the other ones, but yeah, I think like it's people historically in a low rate environment kind of like associated REITs with like commercial buildings and whatnot, but there's a lot of like more niche ones out there that are definitely, I think, good options right now.
I mean, even Costco is building one of those, you know, apartments above it in LA, I think, is the first one. So that would be wild. I mean,
Who wants to live above a Costco though? That'd be like living over a bar. Could you imagine the parking every day?
No thanks. No thanks.
Oh.
Lunch every day.
But that's the way it's going. Like they're building vertically, right? So the whole plaza becomes vertical. Yeah.
The Costco guys. Boom. You know?
Oh yeah.
We're Costco guys. We live on top of Costco.
The Costco Mafia. Yeah. I'm curious. I have a symbol that I've started investing in. I'm curious of your guys' feedback on it. And that's Sonos. So it's SONO. Everybody's heard of Sonos Audio, or a lot of you probably have. If you haven't, they're a premium audio manufacturer, and their stock has hit the skids. They basically released an app before it was ready, got rid of the old one. You control everything through the app on your phone. Got rid of the old one, and it didn't have the functionality of the first one, and they were left scrambling. And if you look at the stock, you can see it just boom, right? I mean, people were pissed, investors were pissed, I was pissed. Yeah. But it's leveled out a little bit, and their app is the functionality. They basically put the entire company behind fixing this problem. And I've started to kind of get into it a little bit. It's got a market cap of about 1.5 billion, but this is not a company that I feel like is going anywhere anytime soon. They're not a dividend company, but they have some staying power. And I started to get into it a little bit and buying more of it, because I just feel like, you know, this app can be fixed. The management, the products, everything else is okay. But I'm curious if you guys take a look at the chart, what you think. I really do see that there's some definite value there for sure.
You don't feel like it feels like Peloton?
Profits, growing revenue, free cash flow, all of that. You know, is it lumpy, or is it more kind of sustainable?
Sustainable. I feel like, based upon my research, I feel like it is. Yeah.
It shows they're losing money.
Yes, they're losing money right now. Right.
My concern here would be, and I'm just kind of reading through a few articles as we were talking. So the CEO, Patrick Spence, he says, with the app, however, my push for speed backfired. And I find that alarming, honestly. If they have the same management team in place who pushed the app developers, their engineers, to push out a product that wasn't ready for mainstream, and you've got the same, and I don't know if they've made any restructuring within the organization, but if it's that same team in place, like, you know, it looks like extremely bad judgment to me. And if they hadn't fully validated the application before pushing it out to customers, which I'm guessing was because they were under pressure, obviously, to keep up with the fast pace of tech change. But there's something systemic there to me. I mean, anyway, just off the hop.
No, I appreciate the feedback. Yeah, it's interesting. I just something that I saw, and I'm an actual user of those products. They're phenomenal.
I want to know more what changes they're making, like internally, so what quality controls, because that's from a product development and software development perspective, and having developed things myself, that's when you have that disconnect from the C-suite to what's actually going on with your products. What changes are they making, right?
I think and Boomer has a good point too. You know, they're not like, you know, the profitability isn't quite there, right? So, you know, I mean, that's something to look at. It doesn't make money.
They've been around
Right.
for a long time. They should be making money. Smart
Right.
homes is a tough. Like I have we built our house 10 years ago. It's a smart home. I can control the whole house from my phone. Control 4 is the brand, but that stuff was quite expensive 10 years ago when we built our house. It's almost free now from so many providers, from Google and other people are giving away. I don't know, giving away. They've created smart home platforms, and so I think it's tough for those companies that pioneered smart homes and put out all that software and the equipment, and now you can get smart home stuff from Google and control it through Siri and stuff like that. So I think those guys might be in a tough go just because of the environment. It's because that stuff is getting very easy, and it was not easy before.
Yeah, I'm the same. I'm not going to say the G word because I think my entire house will come alive, but it'll, it's amazing what you can do with technology, right? I mean, it makes it so convenient. But yeah, I mean, this being a player and who they are, it was something that I was considering. I bought a small position in it just to see what it's doing. I'm up right now, but I really wanted to hear your guys' feedback, so I appreciate that.
I guess part of it too is going to Boomer's point, with IoT becoming ubiquitous and these companies like Google and Microsoft and all, like they're kind of like just going to take. It's hard to compete with them, right? Because if they put their focus on something, they can kind of just move in pretty quickly. So I guess the question becomes something like Sonos. Would they be like an acquisition target? Do they have a lot of patents? Do they have something they do particularly well? Because over time, it's going to be really hard for them to compete as a standalone with these companies. But do they have something that would make them interesting?
They've been in a giant patent fight with Google. They lost a little bit of it recently, but they've been brawling for like 10 years or something like that. It's been a long time.
Yeah.
I find it difficult.
I just
to
don't
invest
understand
in
what they
public
do, to tell you the
companies.
truth. Like, as an average person, I just don't think that they're getting the word out about their product well. Because how I understand Sonos is they are a speaker company, and we even use Sonos at the school that I worked at for the music and everything. And I wasn't that impressed. It's a speaker. So until they can convey the value to the public, I don't know if they'll be successful, because I feel like it's kind of a COVID play when everybody was just buying everything, like when Peloton was doing well. Exactly. And so that would be my concern.
I got you. No, it's like I said, I love the products, but you guys have very valid points, and it's all about personal conviction, right? But at the end of the day, you want to make money. You're not in here to be a charitable organization to the Wall Street, right? So let's be honest. So yeah.
I find it difficult to invest
to
in public companies that aren't making a profit, and maybe that's just like my small business owner ethos coming through. But very infrequently do I take a risk on a company that's not like consistently making a profit. At least public companies.
This is probably one of the few for me. This and Rivian are the two that I have little positions in that I'm. It's a risk. I'm throwing the dice, right, and seeing what happens. But, again, back to the conviction. If you have it, then great, right? If you don't, that's fine. But it's important to have well-rounded, founded, like critical thinking skills, right? To really look at this stuff and say, like, hey, objectively, can I do anything with this, or am I just literally like, pulling the slot machine?
Right. Yeah, and like everything I said, for sure, definitely not trying to deter you. Just like that's my off the hop. Yeah.
No, I appreciate it.
That's why we have these chats, guys.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Jennifer, what's your
it's nice to hear other perspectives.
What are you gonna add
what's
there?
your handle on Twitter, Jennifer?
It's J_Greishaber. So it's GRIESHABER. It's a very complicated German last name, but I'm sure Dave can drop it in the show notes or something. Please follow me on Twitter. Huh?
All right.
What did you say?
You probably posted it, right?
Yeah, I think you posted it.
Oh yeah, I'm in the list. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
I got everybody else.
In there on Sonos or otherwise.
I have one similar to what Tim is investing in. It's more like a speculative play or have a small position in is ASTS. They're the space or satellite, cell phone coverage where they're launching. They've already launched 2 of their satellites, Blackbirds, up into space now, and they're going to be able to utilize those as a way to obviously improve cell phone coverage for certain parts of the globe. that doesn't have cell phone coverage. What do you guys?
Oh wow, look at
see
that
of
chart.
Do you guys see
Yeah.
is that can take out cell phone coverage? They've already partnered, I think, with AT&T and Verizon. I think they're going to partner.
My friend made like
T-Mobile
1,000%
soon.
on.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
My friend made like 1,000% on ASTS, like 3-month
Oh
options.
wow!
Look
Yeah,
at that
yeah,
chart,
yeah,
though.
the
You guys look at
options
this?
play
Like,
is-
holy cow.
Yeah.
has been crazy
Dude.
on this stock, and they're saying it can go to $50-$60. Some people are saying 200. I'm not listening to all that. I'm more listening to, as an investor, where can it place itself
Right.
to help improve the functionality of our everyday lives, as far as if we get into dead zones or if we have a disaster parts and in different parts of the world, can people still have access to phone coverage and things of that nature? Have heard of it or seen it come across the screen?
What do you mean?
No.
I think we're definitely seeing them.
Just from what you put, Teddy, but you see the issues in North
Right.
Carolina,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, those, unfortunately that event happened, and obviously it's not the last time that something like that's going
Right.
to happen again. It's more so, how are we going to prepare ourselves to make
Yeah.
sure everyone has cell
Right.
phone coverage no matter what. Even when you go on cruises, you got to pay the premium to get the internet. If you want to get on and say hi, or you want to update it to your social platforms on what you're doing and things of that nature. I think it may be a value. Who knows, 10, 20 years down the line, even like the $26 mark, $24 mark. I think I have an average price of $25 right now. I saw it at 11 and I should have bought it then, but I was so focused on buying, an ET and my other stuff that I know that's going to bring some growth to the portfolio. But like you mentioned, Tim, it's just something that you have a small position in and can see it.
So they're competing with like what, Starlink
Side I
and
wanna-
See, that would be my concern, that they're competing with Starlink. But I mean, how is the FCC going to treat them? Because Starlink already has the low Earth orbit band, because there's
Right.
so with satellites, the FCC regulates like what orbit you can be in, basically, right? It's like lanes or like
okay.
FM channels, on radio. So that FM
Okay.
channel's taken, low Earth orbits. Starlink has it, and they have thousands and tens of thousands of satellites already up. So I don't know. I mean, I'm not a trader. I'm a long-term hold and just don't bother with it. So I would be looking into how do I get into SpaceX and not who else is competing with SpaceX? Because that's like not buying Tesla and buying Rivian instead because you have access to it. Figure out the access for SpaceX, because I would be concerned about their satellite placement, because the reason that Starlink is so fantastic, part of the reason is because it is in that low Earth orbit space.
It shows online here that they are. It says that they're the first and only space-based cellular broadband. Starlink is Wi-Fi, is internet connectivity and Wi-Fi, and this is for phone access. This is for the cellular band. Not for,
I think they're going to use Starlink for
Yes.
T-Mobile
Yep, they
in
have
the
a
US,
deal.
right? I
Mhm.
think they
Okay.
are. Okay. Okay.
Hmm.
I feel like, I'm looking at it, like the intrinsic value, it's, it looks like it could be like dicey, right? But like you have the profitability thing. But as far as like just a play to see what happens with it, yeah, I mean, dude, obviously it's doing something right. And I'd really be curious to
Yeah,
watch
I
it.
mean,
Rocket Lab.
It's a whole cult that I try my best not to get involved in, but every time I tweet it out, I get some of the guys come and follow me, and then they're out, and then all how the algorithm works, all their stuff starts flowing into and you start getting deep and on the stock and stuff. But it looks more like a cold stock where I'm like, all right, it's not profitable, and everyone's just saying buy. Everyone's just loading up on shares. I'm like, eventually the market's just going to cut the legs off of this thing. It's going to be back down to $6 because there's just
It's like Jennifer
like
said with
Peloton,
Peloton,
yeah.
right? I mean, dude, look at that, right? Wow.
Yeah, when they
You
get
know,
like a meme
you've
stock,
got that
it's
at the top of
hard.
your
When they
herd
have like
right
a
now.
really
Yeah.
big
There we
following,
go.
and because it's not about the company anymore, it's about the stock price movement, you know, which you can
Right.
trade price movement, absolutely. You know, it's just not,
Mhm.
I don't have any expertise in it, so it makes me nervous. I feel like it's very high risk.
Right.
Yeah, I 100% definitely higher. That's why when people ask me, "Hey, what do you think I should be buying?" Sometimes I want to say that, but I'm like, nah, that's just way too high risky there. Just stick to the normal.
What about Palantir? Palantir is a fantastic AI futuristic play, in my
Too
opinion.
expensive now. Palantir is, I would say now it's
It's very
overvalued. It's a
expensive
great
right now,
business.
yeah.
It's awesome, but it's overvalued. Now is not a buy.
Yeah,
it
it's,
is.
it's actually very dangerous to buy Palantir right now.
Yeah, it just hit high 52 high on Friday, right? $40. Everybody was waiting for
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
Yep.
According to the research I've done on it, the overvaluation right now is about 81%
Wow.
More.
intrinsic value. So
Yeah.
it's very expensive, very expensive.
But still a great company, you know? So
Great
I would
company.
say like watch it by
Do
the
you
dip.
remember when it was like $8? Like,
Yeah, for sure. Have your
Right.
level set out on
Yeah.
where you would want
It's
to
a
buy
good
it. I mean,
company.
they continuously get agreements and stuff with the government and
Huge
so-
contracts, huge. They're
Yeah.
enormous. They're like $100 million all the time.
I'm like, who is giving out this money to Palantir?
They're profitable.
If we're
So
looking at
Dave, are you
businesses
having
right now
technical
that
difficulties,
have
Dave?
very low risk, in my opinion, and decently valued right now, one to look at is Canadian National Railway. If you haven't heard of it, it's
Oh, yeah,
like
Dave.
one of our massive two rail companies here in Canada. The other is Canadian Pacific. That one's slightly more expensive valuation wise, but it's connected through Canada and the US. It's the only rail company that's connected to three coasts, so it's the Atlantic, Pacific, and Gulf coasts. Transports billions of dollars of goods every day in like every different industry. So to me, it's kind of like an ETF of industrial activity. And every time they go on strike, the federal government has to get involved to try and get people not to go on strike because it destroys the entire economy. So it's a very crucial business for both of our countries, actually. And right now, it's been on a little bit of a dip. And if you look at their chart over the last few years, it never dips more than 15% before kind of bouncing back. Grows dividend every year. So you're never going to get super massive growth on it. It's very boring and stable, but it's very consistent, and they do buybacks, tons of buybacks every year. So I've held it for 5 years. If you hold it for a long period of time, it does pretty well. And I'm honestly constantly averaging up because it's great. The business model doesn't change, and they keep making more profits every year. Definitely worth checking out that one. This is way lower risk and way lower returns as well than everything else we discussed. But it's nice to have your retirement.
I love
portfolio every
boring.
week.
Yeah,
Hey,
I love
boring
boring and
is good.
profitable. Yeah.
And they're not building. They're not building any new railway companies.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. In Canada, it's
Bingo.
impossible to build anything like infrastructure projects here. It's just it
Good luck.
doesn't happen anymore. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, they're gonna keep pumping out profits for decades and decades. And again, Canadian Pacific is their like evil twin. Same thing. It's just more expensive, but it's also very, very good. And that one's connected all the way to Mexico too. So both great businesses.
I like
we at
those.
General Motors, we use the railroads to deliver our cars to our dealerships. I go on and look at where my dealers' vehicles are at because they're asking me, "Hey, where's my Trax, or where's my Trailblazers, or where's my Silverados?" And we go in this thing or in our system, and I can literally see what railroad company, and we use all different types of rail companies to help deliver the vehicles. So that's an ongoing business.
Yeah, CNR is it's one of my core holdings for sure. I think I've been on
think
since
that's never, like you said, it's never going to
sorry. I thought you'd skipped out. Okay, sorry. Yeah, that's one of the core holdings for sure in my portfolio, and it's one of these companies that I kind of thought, maybe I should just, because to your point, it consistently goes up, and I'm like, maybe I should just keep throwing $1,000 into it every year, and just just say once a year I'll just make a token investment and just keep building the position, because it's definitely there's basically no way to you, like we talked about, you can't build more rail. You could, if I get $50 billion or $100 billion, you couldn't start another rail company in Canada. So right, it's we have this duopoly with CP Kansas City in Canada. Yeah, I think it's kind of like a no-brainer investment. Probably everyone should have one.
Yeah, the moat is so huge. You're absolutely correct. Like, there's only so many players. There are not going to be any new ones. So that's good. I mean, until we have tunnels, but that's going to be a while.
Yeah.
and expensive.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Very. What do you guys think of Visa on its downturn? I grabbed a couple
Amazing.
shares when it was at the 270, 274 marker right now, even though Nancy decided she wanted to sell right before the DOJ article came out.
Friggin' Nancy, yeah.
Another
I'm always looking
duopoly.
at Visa. I'm always considering. I still never bought, but it's a great super wide modes. That one and MasterCard, right? It's never gonna go
Yeah.
away. Yeah,
Right,
and
like you
even
said,
now, to be
duopoly.
honest, it's expensive, but it's still probably a buy. To be honest, I just never pulled the trigger, but it's good. Yeah, that's a good.
Yeah.
buy.
Visa, I bought Visa last week as well, or maybe this week. I bought it on 2 different days, and
Mhm.
I mean, it's a stock I already owned, and I just added to it because
Right.
it's not going anywhere.
No, I mean they do $10 trillion of transactions. They're worldwide. I mean, consistently growing. The technology, the security with through AI and all different types of various ways of. You got members with Costco and Walmart. Their credit cards and stuff are through Visa. Those are just like no-brainer. A no-brainer stock, like you said. Not crazy returns, but it's safe. It boring. It grows a dividend. I mean, grown their dividend, I think, for the last 26 years. I think the PE right now is trading at a decent PE too, and good free cash flow.
And low payout ratio, so they can afford the
Yes,
dividend.
low payout
That's
ratio. Yeah.
important. Yeah.
Mhm. And their sustained earnings too have been increasing as well, which is good for dividend investors in general, just because that means that they have more money retained earnings, left after to either pay down debt and reinvest in the company and so on. Yep.
Are we worried about like any of these antitrust things that have been happening recently, with like Google and Visa, and like does that ever come into the equation, do you think, with you guys?
Not too much. I mean, if I think of, say, for example, if with Google, like, what are they going to do? Make them sell off YouTube or something like this? Like, I'm not even, I'm not even sure what they would do. If they did, say if Google was broken into, I don't know, 3 pieces, I'd probably just still plan to own all 3 pieces. Like, it really worry me too much. And honestly, they have so many ones to go after. Like, I mean, whether it's Amazon or Microsoft or Google, like, I think a lot of these suits are going to wind up in court for years and years and years. And all I would do is just continue owning whatever parts come off, because the companies are so well made.
Wasn't the Microsoft antitrust like a decade or something like that? It was a long time.
Yeah, and then it'll take time to even unwind whatever they come up with. Like, and again, what are they going to do with Microsoft? They're going to make them sell off Azure, like their data. Like, I don't even know what they would do with them. And the parts they break off.
I don't think they do either. So.
Right. Yeah. So no, it doesn't work. Anyway, from my perspective, it doesn't really worry me too much. Whether it happens or doesn't happen, it wouldn't change my strategy, I guess.
I completely
Hey,
agree.
guys.
And I think the US at this point, I don't want to say it's completely, corporate capture, but a little bit, and that is the most pro-business country in the world. And a lot of time when we hear about these antitrust things, it's kind of like political noise, but it's more noise than action in terms of what actually happens to those companies, right? So most of the time, if it's a company that performs very well, makes tons of profits, people kind of try to say bad things about it and say, we'll do this and that, but not a lot of stuff actually happens, and the stock keeps going up in the 10 years of antitrust investigations. So yeah,
a lot of dividends paid out over that time. Yeah,
exactly.
That new federal trade commission girl, Lena Khan, has teeth though. Like, she's been doing a lot more than previous people, and they've been handing out bigger and bigger fines, and they've been actively trying to give them more power to kind of antitrust people. But yeah, I don't know. Sometimes it's like in the back of my head when I'm like buying a Google share, I'm like, what happens if they just get broken up at some point? But I guess like the most famous case of like Standard Oil getting broken up, all those subsidiaries that are like splinter companies ended up being larger total than the company before they broke it up, right? So
that was like 1911, and the best thing you could do was keep owning all those companies, right?
Yeah. So yeah, I guess you're right there, where it's like if they break up Google, just buy YouTube stock as well. And then
or like AT&T, right, where they broke it up, and then AT&T bought the other subsidiary companies back, and it's back to the same thing again. Pretty,
Yeah,
that's funny.
Yeah, that's
Didn't
hilarious how that
GE
circle came around.
do a split or something like that with the three
They
companies?
did,
Didn't
yeah.
GE
There's
break
GE
up into three
Aerospace
companies?
and yep.
Yeah.
Both and so on. I think, yeah. So,
Yeah, they did.
go ahead, Dave. What are you
Speaking
gonna
of YouTube,
Yeah.
There we are.
Oh, there we
you
go.
guys hear me? Am I back? Am I here?
Yeah.
You're
Hey,
back.
Dave.
Hey, Dave.
Dave.
Am I hosting my own show, or are you guys?
Welcome
No, it's all good.
to your show.
Welcome to your show.
Speaking of YouTube, be sure to subscribe. And then trains. Yeah, I know you guys were talking about trains, and when I was cutting in and out there, and you guys know that there's the CN triple track right across the road from my house. And I mean, you guys as investors are happy every time I post a 10 or 15 or 20-second video clip of them going by. You're just like, yep, there goes my money, just rolling into more money. So, yeah.
I'm probably one of the few people that loves getting stopped at a railway crossing, because like when I'm there, I'm just like, oh, okay.
What do you guys think about Meta?
Meta? Yeah.
Big fan.
I've never actually looked at it. I mean,
They hit
enough.
this 52-week high.
I'll go look at it
I
now.
stopped using Facebook.
Glasses now. He's saying that they can replace phones here in the few years. I'm thinking like, whoa.
Yeah, I bought some in
You saying
2022.
stop
when
using
it-
Facebook?
Oh,
I did. I stopped using Facebook, and I have to say they're going to have a problem in states. The states that have two-party consent laws, they're going to have a real problem with those glasses. So in the United States, there's single-party consent and there's two-party consent. Yeah, everybody forgets about the law, like laws, and privacy and stuff. In Europe, it's not going to fly at all. It's not in Europe. It will not fly at all. They're not going to allow it. So, because their privacy laws are stronger than in the United States, but there are still several states that require two-party consent for recording and video and stuff like that. So, I don't know. I think it's a huge lawsuit waiting to happen. However, I love the new Mark Zuckerberg. I love the new Zuck. I think that he's doing a lot for the brand, to tell you the truth, with his personal reinvention.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't know. I'm torn on Meta, but I don't use Facebook anymore. But you know what? My mom lives on it. So there is a section of the population that loves Facebook.
How cool would it be to have like glasses on that take pictures or video, right? Like, I mean, I get the privacy part for sure, but
Until you get
think about
sued.
how many. Think about how many memories that like you're like, oh man, I wish I had that.
That's
a
true.
million times probably.
That's true.
So I can see that's pretty awesome. That's cool.
One thing I can quickly say about Meta is things like the new glasses or the reality labs or everything that they're doing. To me, it's a little bit like the Google. If you look at their segments, they have one called Other Bets, where it's just random stuff that they throw money at, but that doesn't make any profits. But Meta's real crown jewel is the ads business, which is Facebook, but also Instagram, right? And that's at all time. I mean, it's doing phenomenally well, and
that's fair,
and it's gonna continue doing well, right? I'm a music producer. On top of what I'm doing here, I use Meta ads to get people in front of my music. That's the only way you can reach people, and it works extremely well. So I pay Meta, and they have millions of small businesses all doing that. And it's just, if you look at their revenue charts, it's crazy. So my biggest problem with Meta was I bought near the bottom and I sold way too early. So I made a profit, but not I could have made 5 times that profit if I held on to it over the last year and a half or so that it's been. So it's a very, very solid business, and I think it's definitely, deserving to be, spoken of among the Mag 7, right? It's very good and very strong.
For you younger guys that are on, the younger people that are on, do you use Facebook? Does anyone your age use
Instagram.
Facebook?
Only
Seems like
Instagram.
everybody uses Facebook.
Oh yeah,
but Meta
Instagram.
owns
I don't
Instagram.
do Instagram, but a lot of people do.
The only
lot of
reason I use Facebook as
use
much as I do
Instagram.
is because that's where my customers are. Like one of my small businesses is like the wine business, and like wine moms is definitely my top demographic, and Facebook is where they spend the most screen time by far. So my Facebook interactions for my winery brand are significantly higher than every other platform.
Wow. Remember that Meta also owns WhatsApp. They haven't really monetized WhatsApp yet, but that's huge potential. I don't know how big WhatsApp is in the US, but in the rest of the world, let's say Europe and Asia, like India, everyone uses WhatsApp, and that's 1 billion plus people, right?
I feel like Americans don't trust it because all these bots try to get you, like DM you and on X, and they're like, "Oh, let's move this to WhatsApp," and that's like the signature of like, "Oh, you're trying to get over on me," So I think like a lot of people don't trust it, to tell you the truth.
I always bring up WhatsApp the same time I bring up like PayPal, is like when Americans talk about like, I don't know what the use case is for PayPal or for WhatsApp, but then you travel to a third world country for the first time and you realize how much more people rely on those companies and those apps, because they don't trust or they're not reliable banking systems, or they don't trust and they don't have reliable telecom systems. And like when I was in like Mexico, that was the first time where it's like everybody is using WhatsApp. And when you talk to people about it, they're like, well, yeah, I just like I had a phone on the system and then they just decided to shut down the system one time, and it's like, what can you do about it?
Wild.
So
Absolutely.
and then like as a Canadian, it's like, we have the Interact e-transfer system since 1990. So I'm like, why would anyone ever use Cash App or Venmo or anything like that? Because all our banks just made a system for sending money to each other. So I'm like, how are these businesses worth anything? But then you look at somewhere like America where they don't have that system, and it's like, oh, okay, there's a use case. So it's just like zoom out from your kind of the country you're in.
Well,
and
I'll give you a great use case. Like for WhatsApp is I'm the green bubble guy, right? You iPhone users know exactly what I'm talking about. So sending videos and stuff back and forth, sending videos back and forth between iPhone users and my family and us is brutal. But with WhatsApp, you get full resolution video, full resolution pictures. It's not a problem, right? So like I use it for that, but I also use it. I mean, you guys have, I think you've heard of it, Signal, which is very popular at some of the circles that I'm in. Yeah, and it's different. It's not owned by Meta, right? So that's part of it. But I think both of them have great use cases when they're cross-platform. I think that's really like, besides the obviously outside the country, and I totally understand that too. When your service isn't reliable and everything else isn't reliable, you got something, right? Because Meta's not going to take it down. So.
100%.
Just
to add quickly on that topic,
we use WhatsApp because it's,
then
you're just on you get Airlo,
just internet,
and eSIM Wi-Fi, and then you got all your connectivity to each other without having to roam. And friends of ours, when they're away, they're all on what it's like. Don't text me, just message me on WhatsApp, and we have a bunch of WhatsApp group.
But also just to jump on what Willow said about PayPal. So I got married in January in India. My wife's Indian. I had to go there, and to get a visa to go there, I could literally only have either an Indian bank or use PayPal. There was no, and I don't have an Indian bank account. I live in Canada, right? So PayPal is the default option to pay the visa fee. So to go to what you said, Willows, the whole rest of the world, PayPal, WhatsApp, and all these other kind of American companies that a lot of Americans are like, I don't use it that much. For the rest of the world, people use it every day, and it's definitely worth a look and worth understanding how they function in the rest of the world, because they make tons of money there.
Yeah, I hear that because like I was doing due diligence on like Square, and I heard a lot of people talking about like how Cash App is useless and that like it shouldn't be part of the company and it doesn't do anything. And then you hear the opposite with like PayPal, where people like Americans are like, I don't use PayPal, none of my friends use PayPal, like why would I invest in that company? But then it's like, there's 1.5 billion people in India that would disagree, and the government's like, hey guys, use PayPal like to pay your visa.
Literally.
Yeah.
Hey, so Will Ferrell uses PayPal apparently.
that
according to the commercial.
Peyton Manning likes Papa John's too.
Oh, that's true.
What other companies are people buying or looking at right now that are profitable?
I mean, I love Amazon. I mean, that's anything. I mean, it's under $200 right now. That's a steal. Like that's in about 6 months from now, I feel it's going to be way above the 215, 220 marker. I'm loving where it's going right now. Go ahead, Tim.
No, I was just saying, like that ceiling is literally a glass ceiling for Amazon. That 200, it's wild, right? Like it. Yeah. I think it's just like it's kind of going like in little waves. All of a sudden, it's just going to punch, right?
Jeff had his Jeff decided he wanted to sell his shares at $200 and kind of screwed over a call I had going on a couple months ago. I didn't realize he had a sale going on it when it reached at $199, and I'm like, oh my god, my call is just going to get eaten alive here. And eventually, What's that again, Tim?
Was that the leap that you had? You talked about a leap.
Yeah,
I think, at one point. Okay.
yeah. I got out of that because I would just realize, I'm like, I wonder how long this guy's going to continue to sell it right at 200. He's popping the clip millions and millions of shares, and of course it's his company, and of course you know he's been working his tail off to build it where it's at, so he deserves to take profit. But I just like it right now underneath the 200. Eventually it's going to pop, and you know all investors that have been buying 180, 186, 190, where it's at right now, I think it's definitely a buy. I mean, we can call it financial advice. We'll be seeing in 6 months from now where Amazon will be at.
That's like with Jensen Huang and NVIDIA. It can't seem to break 125.
Oh my God!
NVIDIA it can't seem to break it.
Nope. Same thing with NVIDIA. NVIDIA, it's just hard to break that 125 right now. But I feel once they get over that, it's going to be off to the races with both of those companies. So a little patience right now.
I know we all have those sob stories, but I'm going to cry for a second and say I sold NVIDIA at 350 before it sailed up to like what 1200 and split.
Oh no.
Yeah.
It
happens.
It's okay.
It happens.
That's
a painful one. Yeah.
Yeah. It hurt a lot. Yeah, it hurt. Every time I see a video, I'm reminded of that. It's like an ex-girlfriend,
yeah, it has a pain point. Speaking of NVIDIA, I was doing some research on NVIDIA, just like getting my reading in on it, and they mentioned a company called SoundHound. It's a voice-to-speak technology company.
SoundHound, yeah.
And they are implementing their AI services, voice to speak, to all types of services. Really huge in the automotive industry where they're going. They got them at Krispy Kremes. I mean, you can call up to a Domino's Pizza right now. Businesses where they are basically having a lot of traction, where you're calling, and obviously the workers there can't get to the phone. This system will literally pick up the phone, act as a human, take your order. I mean, you can literally speak to it and change orders as you're talking. Say, hey, I want a double cheeseburger, cookie, no pickles, add onion, give me a large Coke, or you can just revert the same type of order. Or while you're in your vehicle, you can speak to the car, where a lot of us, have a check engine light go on, and you're wondering, hey, what the heck is going on with my car? You can literally speak to the car. It'll literally give you a command back as to what is going on with your vehicle. I think that would be another industry where, a lot of companies will start implementing that into their everyday use life. I mean, for example, I called Wingstop last weekend. I called a place 5 to 6 times in a row, no pickup. I already knew that they were slam packed, taking orders that were for in. And I was just thinking in my head, what if they were to have this technology where you automatically pick up the phone and you can utilize it. I wonder how many orders companies are missing now just because they're not picking up the phones and so on of that nature.
Yeah.
They're missing out on that revenue. A company up in Detroit, where I'm originally from, called Chicken Shack. I 100% know that this business, they are very, very they're not keen to answer the phone because they have so many customers coming through the door. They just now signed on with SoundHound's a partnership to to have their system integrated into their phone services. And the owner of Chicken Shack mentioned how awesome this is going to be to help with revenue, help customer service, being able to get more customers in, and therefore the workers there will be able to just continue to churn out orders. And I think it's like a $5-6 stock right now, but very customizable. It'll be able to work with all different types of languages. You can, like I said, you can speak to it as like a human, and it'll give you, your interaction back. And it's not going to be, I can subscribe to you 1 month. It's more so like a year or two of subscriptions that the companies will have to sign up on to, help, obviously generate revenue for SoundHound.
You think about it like in California, right? Right now, like you have labor laws, right, for that mandate like $20 plus an hour, like for these fast food workers. You start to see like McDonald's is like getting rid of people. They're just gone. Either there's a menu doing it there and there's a machine handing you your Coke, and it's like a little strange, but if you think about it, like we're kind of writing ourselves out of existence, and it sucks in a way for these workers, but you can see a massive industry that I mean, these people these business owners don't want to pay that much money to these workers. They would rather replace them with a machine. Sure, the machine's going to cost them 10 grand, but over the years, it's going to make its money back, right? Or it's
Yeah.
and it works
And
24
how many
hours a day
times-
with no break.
True.
Go ahead.
And how many times do we go to a place and we don't something that I didn't even get my fries or I didn't get the right drink?
Every time.
It's just those small things where it can deter a customer from not coming back to your business anymore. It's like, well, last time I went there, they messed up my order. It's like I just gave you the order
We all have
45
that one
seconds
place
ago.
we go
How
where,
did I not get what I want?
Yeah,
You all have that one place where you know you got to check the bag. You know. Yeah. You better check the bag.
You got to double check the bag. Taco Bell's for one for me. Got to double check the bag. And NVIDIA invested, I think, $350 million into SoundHound. That's what got me keen on to looking at them, because I was reading that they took an opportunity to invest into them.
They've been around for years. I remember using SoundHound to identify songs like in Kazaa way back in the day, right? Like
2005.
It was a big thing. Yeah.
Guys, do you see
Okay, we
this
got a
question
question
down
from the
here
chat.
asking, which IPO do you like? I don't know if everybody's heard, but Newsmax is going to IPO.
Ooh, what's Newsmax?
Really?
I've never heard.
Tell
Sorry.
us more.
So Newsmax is a cable television station in the United States. It's far right, so it's kind of like Fox on a little more right of Fox. It's a news channel.
Okay.
People watch the news still?
Oh yeah, the boomers do. I mean, I don't. My mom's generation, they're all watching
We have
Newsmax.
one.
So
We have one here.
Yeah.
We have one.
We
No.
don't get that in Canada, so.
No offense to you, boomer.
There's an app.
But,
there is an
isn't
app.
that entire generation going to die really
Well,
soon?
it's also crazy, so I wouldn't be listening to it. But yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it's an app. They have advertising, so they're making advertising revenue. I haven't seen their numbers. I think my mom has their packet though, because she was investing privately with them. So, but I think they're going to IPO soon. That's the only IPO that I can even think of that I know that's on my radar right now.
I'm the same. I can't recall the last time. Like I think I went into Instacart was the last time I tried to do something, and I got out really quickly. But that was the last one I really thought of.
Epic Games, but they're not IPO. Epic Games is not IPOing, but my broker that does like the private companies, they keep messaging me that Epic Games is trying to capital raise. So what do they own? Fortnite maybe or something?
Yeah.
They have a couple of things, but they just
Fortnite
lost
is
exclusivity to
huge.
Steam. It's like some of the exclusivity was lost to Steam. I think Steam can have the games now too, or some of them. I think I recall hearing something like that.
They lost a lawsuit.
Was that what it was? Okay.
Yeah, it was. If I recall, Apple and them got into it.
Oh yeah, big time. Over the 30% that Apple takes as a cut on their App Store.
Yeah,
they brawled big time over that one. Yeah, and they brawled
Yeah.
with Google too. I think too. I think it was Google too.
Epic Games doesn't have a good moat, in my opinion. Steam is a much better platform.
Steam's huge.
The only if you look at Epic Games, is like they brag about how many users they have using their like launcher or whatever. It's just because like they force you, if you want to play their games on a computer, they force you to have their launcher. But like I probably 99% of people polled would say they would just prefer to use it on Steam or whatever else.
Right.
And Fortnite kind of had its day in the sun. Like it's definitely,
That's fair.
it's kind of like post-COVID world. I don't think anyone's all the big streamers went away from it, and like
I gotta give me one of those passive
Okay,
income
newcomer
passive
Anthony.
Oh, which
Anthony,
company
here's
will
your chance to talk
outperform
about Brookfield.
Brookfield or Fairfax? I mean, I don't like to make
wow,
predictions.
I wonder
so
what Anthony
genuinely,
can say.
no, genuinely. I mean, I own both, and I love both companies. I think Brookfield may do better, but I can't make a prediction. I think both businesses are great. I don't know if everyone here knows Brookfield. I know someone had mentioned Brookfield Renewable earlier. Yeah, right. So you know Brookfield Renewable. I own Brookfield Renewable too, but my largest holding is Brookfield Corp, which is the parent company So they have exposure to the renewable segment, they have exposure to the infrastructure segment, they have exposure to real estate. We talked about real estate earlier in the conversation, right? And we're talking about how depending on what area of real estate you're in, you might do well or not. Their core real estate portfolio is doing extremely well. They own the Brookfield Place right here in Toronto. They have Manhattan West in New York. All of this is like almost 100% occupancy. They're doing really phenomenally well, and they are now scaling Brookfield Wealth Solutions. It's essentially actually now they're the number 3 annuity writer in the US. So it's a big deal. They scaled very quickly. What they do is they're buying insurance companies, and then they're buying them to get access to the float, but then they're rotating that float into higher return assets and then earning a nice spread. So yeah, it's a super awesome company. For our American friends here, if you know Blackstone, Brookfield is essentially like a Canadian version of Blackstone. I think they're a little bit better and exposed to parts of business that are, I think, have a bit more catalyst for the future, and they're also less vilified, so that helps. But yeah, that's my highest conviction holding, and it's 15% of my portfolio, which for me that's a lot.
Yeah.
I just
you don't get much more vilified than the financial, right? I mean,
yeah, well, especially private equity financials, right? So
I just put a link in the private chat
Right.
if anyone's interested in some further reading. Me and Anthony did like a 2-hour podcast on talking about Brookfield. I was really interested in their history, because like I guess like my kind of like I made my first small business acquisition last year, and I'm eyeing a couple more, and like the kind of company that Brookfield is kind of the company that like maybe in the future is kind of I would want to run. So I'm like, well, if this is a really good example of that, I know my resident expert of Brookfield, so I kind of asked them all the questions about their founding and their structure and their holdings and stuff. So we dived really deep into it. So put the link there if anyone's interested in further reading.
Check it out. And really what's nice too is this one I've owned since 2019. So I've had, and every single quarter, I tune into the earnings and I read their letters and I read their financial statements, and they are really just doing what they said they would do. And think of the fact that they didn't know there'd be a pandemic back in 2019 when they talked about their goals for 2024, right? And they've actually overcame, like they've surpassed all their objectives. So they had their investor day earlier this month, or actually last month, September, and they were talking about their targets for 2029. And I'm like, yeah, I know they can do it. They're going to double the business like they just did over the last 5 years. So it's a really, really impressive business. The only thing I would say is that it's kind of run up a lot in the last year, which is kind of a shame.
Right.
So is it a buy? I don't know. I'm not doing investing advice. I don't know. But I was buying very heavily last year when it was trading in the 40 in Canadian dollars, which I don't know what that is in US, but it was like down 50% from now, like around the fall of last year. And now it trades at like what? I think 15 times free cash flow multiple, which to be fair is still not that
pretty
expensive.
low. Like
It's not
yeah,
very
it's pretty
expensive.
low in today's. Yeah, that's a
So,
great
yeah, we'll
question.
put that
from Google.
link
We
in the
got to
description.
ask our local celebrity about his interview.
Yes, exactly. That's the next question. Al Cuba, thank you so much for participating in the chat.
Yeah, some great
Question
questions.
to Sandstone Capital: is he nervous about interview for Bloomberg?
Well, I already had it. So
yeah.
it's going to
Yeah,
be.
buddy.
I already had it. I really can't disclose any details except for the fact that I will post it probably Monday or Tuesday. As you all know, we got a nice big storm brewing out in the Gulf, so I got to get my house prepped. The patio
You guys
behind
stay
me-
safe out there for sure.
Michael,
You and
bye-bye.
dividend stockpile, Jeremy. You guys stay safe.
Yeah, I think. Well, yeah, he's going to get it the brunt of it, but I'm on the other side of the state. But anyways, not to divert. I will post a link as the second I get it. Was I nervous? No, because when I was in law enforcement, I had to publicly speak a couple times. When reporters arrived, I was for a short time a public information officer. So was I nervous? No. It's how can I best fit this? They went into a lot of details about one of the equities that I owned and what happened with it. But I'll just leave it at that. And like I say, get the popcorn ready. I'll post a link definitely. But I was actually flattered and honored
That
Yeah,
some
that's
Liberal
awesome.
Financial. I
Heck
was
yeah.
really, and I'm like, is this person pulling my leg? You know, and I'm a cop, so I got to do a little research and investigate and verify its veracity, but it was legitimate.
Very cool.
This
That's
is not.
awesome,
I just
Dave.
want to note that this
Very
is
nice.
not Dave's first time on TV. It's his second
Oh,
Yeah,
because I have the first
yeah,
one. I have a screen capture of that.
No, I pulled a guy out of a burning car, and the news anchor came to the station and interviewed me when I got my award when I was a police officer. I was interviewed.
Nice.
No, this was like more recently. You were on CNBC, weren't you? You're in the background.
Oh, that's when I went to the Money Show. That's with Fox Business Channel. Yeah.
No, that
you
was-
Oh yeah, I
saw-
remember that. I remember that.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
You saw my mugshot in the background. And I was talking to Charles Payne for a little bit. I said, "Hey,
Yeah.
Charles, you want to interview me?" "No, man, I'm good. No, just hang up behind me. So that's right.
Dave's got some airtime under his belt.
Yeah, I
Big
do.
time.
So,
Love it.
Mm-hmm. So we didn't know you had another hurricane brewing your way. That's pretty.
Yeah,
cool.
it sucks, dude. Wow.
it's another big one too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I'm on the east side. I'm a few miles north of West Palm Beach, but
Oh,
Jeremy, who's the lady that does all the Airbnbs in Florida? Lauren something?
Oh,
Yeah.
adulting is easy, Lauren.
Yeah, that's it. She's on
I
that
don't.
side of the state. And the Chris, investor Chris, he's out there too, on that side of the state.
Oh, Chris, yeah.
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 So-
Tampa looks like it's going to get hammered. Tampa and Orlando, and I don't know if you guys know this. Orlando is the busiest airport in the United States.
It is.
Not Atlanta?
Oh,
No, it's Orlando.
What? Oh my god, I can't imagine Orlando because I've been to Atlanta airport and it is nut. Even if you're there early, it's still an abundant amount of people there at the butt crack of dawn. I can't imagine Orlando.
Yeah, Atlanta they were never planning on growing as large as they are because I have to say Atlanta has the worst traffic in the entire United States, like hands down. And I've done DC, New York, LA, San Francisco. I've done them all. Atlanta sucks. I will drive 3 hours out of my way to not go through Atlanta. But Orlando, it's the most visited city in the United States. There's really, really cheap flights into Orlando from everywhere. Like you can fly like London to Orlando round trip for like $500-600, probably less now.
Wow.
And so, Orlando getting hit is going to really hit Florida because there's just a ton of tourism. They just do a lot of business. So that's going to be really interesting because it looks like it's going straight there. Like if I was a bigger conspiracy theorist than I already am, I would think they're trying to take out Disney with this storm the way it's going.
Yeah. Well, what it hurts too. Florida just the homeowners insurance just outrageously stupid.
Mm-hmm.
And in my opinion, I think it's more or less a lot of the litigation that's tying up the courts that's costing homeowners like myself.
Well, I think it's all the claims because you guys keep getting slammed with hurricanes. But, that is it. It's to be expected.
The
What I'm
claims,
concerned
yeah.
with is I think a lot of people are going to start to like self-insure and then be underinsured. And that will also, that may hurt property values. And a lot of insurance companies dropped Florida, which is nuts.
Yeah. Well, if I was an insurance company, I wouldn't insure Florida.
Oh, hell no. Or California, to tell you the truth.
Yeah, I was just telling him earlier, we just had an earthquake this morning, so
Yeah,
it
saw that.
happens. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
We will
But
rebuild.
I will.
Nothing fell over.
I will. I am self-insured, but I don't have a mortgage, so I can, if I get a claim, I can just out of my own pocket. Like if this screen goes behind me, that's probably about $15,000-$20,000. But I got to do what I got to do, So for Neil Lanai.
So what you're saying is $750 won't cover it.
No. Right. Carmelo's loan for $750. No, maybe for one panel, a screen panel, but no. I heard about that.
Vote, guys, vote.
Vote.
Even you Canadians, just come over. There's several states that don't care. They have no voter ID. If you're voting for Trump, I welcome you. Please come. Dave and I joke about it all the time. I'm like, are you going to come vote or what?
So here's another thing.
There's two
I don't
things in
think it's
California
crazy.
I want
So-
to figure out how to do.
What are they?
Make
you
the
for-
spread from In-N-Out Burger. That spread.
No. Oh, you know what's funny is I have an In-N-Out down the street from me, and I don't go there because I just don't find it that fascinating. I know that's like blasphemous from a Californian, but I don't get it. I don't know.
I wasn't
Maybe it's
impressed.
because it's right next to me.
Wasn't
I
impressed.
did. But no, the two things in California that we really want are basements and screened-in backyards. You gotta be kidding me. I don't know how we don't make that. We gotta make this happen. That's driving me nuts. Every time I see like somebody with a basement, I'm jealous, and every time I see Dave's screened-in backyard, I'm thinking of how many mosquitoes would not make it to my legs. So, gotta make it happen. I don't know. It's a thing. You can't do it here for some reason. Basements
are cool. I'll tell you right now.
Gotta admit.
If I were to build a house here right now, I would not put a basement in because basements here they just flood. So it's like all I'm doing is pumping water out once a year or once every few years.
Yeah, it depends on the water table. I mean, if you're on a slope, you're great. Like I have a house that's on a slope, so I have what's called an English basement. So the whole one side of the basement is like the same height as the backyard, so you have full-size windows and everything. And we don't have a lot of flooding because we don't have any standing water. But if you have a high water table and then you also have a lot of flat land, it's really difficult.
Right.
And then everything in California is so expensive. And
God.
your permitting laws are outrageous. They're outrageous.
Well,
They got to change.
I've been working on a panel upgrade, and I finished it a year ago, and they're still brawling with the city over permits and stuff. It hasn't been signed off. It's great.
That's insane to me. Yeah.
People's Republic of California.
You know what? It's the same everywhere. We develop here in BC, but we also develop in Washington State. There's no difference.
It's the West Coast. It's a West Coast issue. I'm telling you, that doesn't happen on the East Coast. It doesn't.
I'd be surprised as a developer. I don't know. I'd be surprised. It would be nice for us to not have to deal with it. But all the cities around here we've dealt with, it's there's just an unending series of requests and questions and demands. And down in the States, we deal with the Army Corps of Engineers. So that's federal. With water issues on everything, it's completely insane. And but whatever, it is what it is, and you plug along.
Thank you.
It's the cost of doing business, and things are just very different on the West Coast. I think on the East Coast, I don't feel like we have as many issues with like zoning, permitting, building. But we're running out of space quickly.
We do have a lot of desert here, that's for sure. Yep. Yeah, the price. You're right though. The prices here on the West Coast, I mean, it's the same in other places too, are very out of control. Like my house I bought it in 2017. It has doubled in price. So, I mean, that's great for me. Seeing it at a 2.2% interest rate, I'm not going anywhere, dude. Like, I'm not leaving. But these poor people that try to come in, and these younger people starting their families, they're hosed. What are they gonna do? You can't possibly
they have to
afford
leave.
that.
In New York, everybody left. Like I'm from Long Island. Okay. It's very expensive there. Everybody leaves or they live in their parents' basement until they're like 35.
Right.
Those are your options, kind of.
It sucks. It's terrible. It's the American dream, right? Home ownership, business. Like,
Blue state problems.
Everybody come to Florida.
I'm so red-pilled today, guys. I'm so sorry. I am so red-pilled. We had my sister's 40th birthday party yesterday. It was a surprise, but she serves in the Republican Party, so I had half the state Republican Party here yesterday. So I'm so red-pilled right now. I'm like, I should probably leave.
No, you're good.
Oh,
So I want to hear from you guys in this market right now, right? If you we should almost do like a round table, like a go around the horn, right? What's the stock? What's the one stock that you're like, yeah, this one. I'm buying like a little bit at a time, or I'm nibbling at it, even at these evaluations are high or whatever. Like, what is it? What drives you guys? What's your number one?
If can I begin?
Yeah, go for it, Dick.
Ticker symbol Lima Bravo Landbridge. They're based out of Texas. They recently IPO'd. It's a real estate. It's a REIT, and basically brackish water used for fracking. They sell to other companies. Check out the chart. and they get a lot of their income from oil royalties in the Permian Basin in that part of Texas, Oklahoma, Arkansas. It's very attractive. It's very attractive.
Is this Lima Bravo, Dave?
Yeah, Lima Bravo. Company called Land Bridge.
Laurentian Bank.
That's good.
Land Bridge Company. Okay, I see you here.
See the chart?
Yes. Hold on, it's pulling up now. My trading is going slow.
Wait, no, that's
There we
not
go.
it. Wrong company.
Yeah, I keep getting.
Oh wow,
Laurentian
heavy
Bank.
buy volume for sure.
I got friends in high places. That's all I'm going to say. I like it. And if NVIDIA doesn't behave, I may dump the NVIDIA and put all my money in NVIDIA into that.
Ooh, okay, that's a damn. That's a statement.
Whoa,
All right.
whoa, that's a solid one there.
Wow, Dave's got conviction.
Yeah, that's heavy conviction. If he says he's dumping the video for this,
Yeah.
okay.
I'm mad at NVIDIA. So, but we'll see. Time will tell.
Who wants to go next? I'm not emceeing Dave, but I'm saying who wants to go next? Dave, what's
I'll
your
go
got?
next.
Oh, go for it.
Amazon. I mean,
Oh yeah, buddy.
that's my biggest conviction right now from an individual stock. If we're gonna go ET wise or ETF wise, I would definitely go SCHD after the split.
Oh
I
man,
mean,
the
why not
granddaddy,
get
yeah.
that powerhouse dividend growth. You know, the boring, the better. I mean, you know, it's Schwab, the team over there, they have all the metrics and everything to have the companies that are in there that are safe, reliable dividend income with good metrics and, you know, price to free cash flow, things of that nature. So I definitely can see myself buying a lot of SCHD after the split for sure, leading into the end
That's
of the
crazy,
year.
right? The split. Damn, dude. Like, wow. I didn't expect
Yeah.
that.
No, was not I was expecting this thing to go to $100 at some point. It'd be a $100
right.
ETF. I kept telling myself, like, one day this is going to be $100 ETF, and here they come with the stock split. So I'm like, oh, even better. You know, even it was getting a little premium because I'm like, man, I'm paying $80 for this ETF. I'm like, I really could just be buying more Amazon because I'm trying to get as much growth as I can now, and then eventually take profits and then boost the dividend income even more down the line. But if they're going to give it to me at $29 and then, you know, we ride the way back up, and it took 11 and a half years for it to go from 29 till now. And then the last, 5 years or so, it's had, 10% dividend growth. I mean, you can be really yielding here in the next 10 years, 20 years, almost 10% if you're buying it, especially now. And then we're all going to get blessed with that 3-to-1 stock split too. So it's even more, cake on.
Like I was trying to get to 500 shares. I think I'm there now, right?
Yeah, right. Everyone was talking about, I need to get to this amount of goals. And now they're like, oh, here, we'll just help you guys. We'll give you 3. How about that?
Yeah.
And I love ET too. I know I love ET, Energy Transfer. The pipelines aren't going anywhere. They got Sunoco gas stations. They're growing the dividend. Management said they were going to grow the dividend from 2020 all the way up and get it back to pre-COVID levels. I think the stock is down well from when I first got in, around $8-9. It's now $16. It's been consolidating. Every time it goes under 16, I grab some more shares and so on. Really think this can be a $19 stock. Crazy to say that, from me getting in at $8-9, and now it's, at 16 and looking to go to 19 here soon. So.
Ryan, did
Is
you
that
hear
Jeremy?
the question? And I see Jeremy's joined here as well.
What was that?
Oh, Jeremy.
Jeremy from Florida, fellow Floridian.
Yeah.
How you doing,
Stay safe
buddy?
out there,
How's it
brother.
going, everybody?
Stay safe, man.
Batten down the hatches.
Nice. Thanks for joining, Jeremy.
We're okay, right?
So
The clouds
Tim
already,
had
but we shouldn't have anything until Wednesday.
We'll say, is it Tuesday or Wednesday, right?
Yeah, that's what we're told.
So Ryan and Jeremy, if you hadn't heard the question, Tim had just asked, what is your highest conviction stock or company right now? I think I worded that close to what you had said, Tim.
Yeah. I'm going to guess Jeremy's is BlackRock, but I'm just a guess. I'm hoping I'm right.
Yeah. So I would say if we're looking out longer term, so if we're saying like 5 to 10 years, because I think these companies are pretty fully priced right now, but I think Microsoft, for example, I think that they're doing things pretty well with their investments in OpenAI. and how they're integrating Copilot, the AI tools within Copilot. And
Copilot's phenomenal.
Yeah, exactly. Like I just saw some of the new developments that they have going right now with Microsoft Planner, and these business tools are going to be indispensable in a very short period of time, where you're going to have your whole workforce using these tools, and they kind of have. There's a small oligopoly of companies that can actually produce these sorts of products and do it all in-house, and Microsoft's one of them. And then, like I said, if you look at the Office suite of products and Microsoft 365, pretty much all companies are using this, right? And Microsoft Teams, and it's all being integrated across their platforms, and so simple to use. So you have people who are completely tech newbies, right? They have no idea how to use technology, but these tools are being made so simple to use that you can take someone who knows very little about technology, and then you augment their performance with AI and like through Copilot and so on. And so I think if you look at a longer period of time, like I said, maybe Microsoft is fully valued right now, but I think their growth runway is super, super long. So I would say that's, if I was going to,
Great choice.
That's probably a place on the dip for sure. Any dips, I'd be happy. Yeah.
Jeremy, do you want to jump in there? Highest conviction stock right now?
Oh, sure. Hey everybody, sorry about that.
Too.
Can you guys hear me right?
Yeah,
we can hear you.
Okay, awesome. Sorry. So my highest conviction right now is one of two. The one I like the most is probably something a lot of people haven't heard about, except maybe Dave, is Brookfield Asset Management. Ticker's BAM.
Anthony was just here not too long ago.
He was just talking about that. Yeah.
That's stuff. I know Anthony likes it a lot. That's really my number one. That's one of my largest positions, the one I'm most excited about. They just announced, they're going to do a 15% dividend increase for the next 5 years at least. So, the growth ahead of that company is insane. The other one that's my number one is BlackRock, BLK. Those are my two biggest holdings, individual holdings, and the ones I'm most excited about. BlackRock has the iShares ETFs. They're pretty much the 900-pound gorilla in the room when it comes to asset managers, and they have a bunch of private funds. So, it's in the 900 range on the price. I got in at
900 is crazy, right?
Yeah, I got it in at like 399 personally, but I just absolutely love the company.
Anthony made that comparison that Brookfield was comparable to like Brookfield being the Canadian version of BlackRock.
No, he said Blackstone, not BlackRock.
Sorry, Blackstone.
Yeah, Blackstone makes sense. Yeah, they're asset managers, they're alternate asset managers. They're involved in pretty much everything you can think of, from insurance to water power to cell phone towers.
Everything.
Pretty much everything.
They do everything. Yeah.
Yeah. For sure.
I got my high conviction stock, which is probably differs from everybody else. If you follow me for a while, you know about this one, the Northwest Company.
I have not heard of that.
So they are a Canadian. What they do is they open and operate grocery stores and supply chains in northern communities that are very, very difficult to get to. Often these places don't have roads, or they have like 3-season roads, and it's just very difficult for logistics. And then they also operate stores in very remote, like Caribbean islands, Alaska, Hawaii, basically anywhere where it's difficult to get groceries and whatnot. They have the supply chains, but then also do all the retail and the stores. So this is my largest individual holding. Had a lot of explosive growth, up 50% this year, 81% in the last 5 years. My average is like $29. It's at $52 today. Good dividend payer. And I've been talking about this on Twitter for basically the entire time I've had my finance Twitter has been. It's based in the city I live in. I have to be careful with how much I say, but I have very good friends that have family members in their management, and I've heard a lot about how they're like run as a company, and I think it's very, very good. They do a lot of good work. Where places in northern Manitoba, like where I live, where the government has just kind of like given up on the communities. Like they've kind of come in and helped and done stuff. So it's my highest individual holding at about 23% of my TFSA at the moment. And I have to remind everyone that this is financial advice. Everything I say is financial advice. Please buy the stock.
And so I'm just going to kind of follow up there. So I believe it's ticker symbol NWC on the Toronto Stock Exchange.
That's correct. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, and then so you were just also mentioning like getting into Northern Canada, just so some of our American friends here can understand. Is like, so I know going in, like you mentioned, Northern Manitoba. So to get to Churchill, it's basically rail only, or other areas of other remote areas. You're either some have rail service, or you would be flying in, and these bush pilots are literally landing on ice strips in the winter, or like a dirt
water
road or
planes,
a dirt, like
little biplane water planes
so
that land on the water.
Yeah, and then like you said, a 3-season road, so that would be basically like an ice road, basically.
Yeah, they can like form roads for shipping out of ice when it's cold enough. And remember, like the regions I'm talking about are like -45 degrees Celsius, -50 degrees Celsius. So it's very, very cold. Very, like at that temperature, like propane starts to liquefy, like petrol starts to gooify. So very difficult to run logistics in general. But there's like, I'm not exaggerating, like this sounds like a joke, but there's places where they'll like land a plane and then move the supplies with dog sleds, like husky dogs.
Oh, that's awesome.
How profitable is that, though? I mean, not to be callous, because I mean, it is a humanitarian thing that we should be doing, but how profitable is that company? That sounds like a lot of work to move groceries.
Yeah, very profitable. Been very profitable for a long time. The only thing I would say is like if you've ever seen a like viral tweet about the price of groceries up north
in Northern Canada, I was going to say that next, like $15 for 2 liters of milk.
Or more, like in some of these places, and it is what it is. They have a lot of government contracts as well, where like the government is literally paying them to do the logistics because they already have the stuff set up. And it's also it's like, I don't want to get into the the politics of it, but there's a lot of like a lot of this land up there is Indigenous reserve land, and they get money from settlement and from whatever. There's like a Northern Living allowance and stuff like this. So there's a lot of cash flowing into the region. And then where do people spend the cash? Obviously on basic necessities. And they're in a lot of these regions are a monopoly in the regions. And it's like, just like we were talking about with the trains, it's like nobody is going to build a Northern grocery company.
That's very true.
I think they have a lot of competitive advantage.
That gave a lot more clarity. I appreciate that. Yeah. That's good. Can I go next? Are you done? I'm so excited about mine. So, so my number one holding is Tesla. I think there's still a lot of room. We've been trading sideways basically for almost 2 years or whatever, but that robot's coming. It's absolutely coming. And so I've been convinced for a long time, but this last shareholder meeting was amazing. There was a video that Elon kept playing in the background, and I'm not sure if everybody caught it, but it was the robot. It was Optimus, and he was moving batteries, these 4680 cells, from one place and putting them into a box where they have to fit into these slots, right? And one of the batteries fell crooked. And the robot corrected the battery and it slid into place. So that, to me, that says that they have solved for perception and robotics. That was the big hurdle for manufacturing robots. And they're making incredible progress, especially with FSD as well. And so I have a tremendous amount of conviction in Tesla. So I would say, buy every dip and just hold. For me, it's not a stock that I would trade. I'm not an options person, but for buy and hold long term. And I think we also have to think about like, what is your investment like timeline too? Because some stocks would be great to own and sell in 2 days, and some would be great to own and sell in 10 years. So from that investment thesis, Tesla's my favorite. Now on my short-term play, although it's becoming a longer-term play because I'm having more conviction in the company, is definitely EOS, and that's ticker symbol EOSE. Yep. That's it.
I would love to see. I would love to get an Optimus for my house. I think my wife would like probably leave because she's afraid
Everybody
they'll
wants
kill her at night.
No, get one, Ted.
If it was standing next to her and she woke up and looked at it, that'd be the end of me right there. That'd be it. That'd be it. Just that,
The minute it does something
love
she
it,
doesn't
though.
want to do anymore, she'll want a second one.
yeah, probably. I swear to you, like I'm all over that. It's like hell no. Like she's seen way too many sci-fi movies, man. I would love it though. I think it'd be cool.
Yeah. It's going to be interesting. There's also so many other things that are in the hopper that people aren't really paying attention to, like Semi. They've ramped production for, and they're delivering
That's
semis. They've delivered several semis, and all of the people that are driving them, these professional drivers, are saying that they prefer the Tesla Semi. And you can use the Semi as an RV chassis, because there is a class of RVs that use semi trucks for their chassis. So I think we're going to start seeing some of that stuff, and then I'm sure that a van will come very soon. I think Thursday is going to be very interesting for Tesla, so we'll see.
The robot, the Robo Taxi Day, right? I think it's next week.
Yeah.
Actually.
Yeah. It's on Thursday. I have a
I'm
bunch
more
of
keen to
friends
watch that.
going.
I'm more
Yeah.
excited about the Robotaxi than I am the Optimus. Like I think the Optimus is going to be a very long time before they're actively, like regulation-wise, technology-wise, profitability.
But what regulations? Like, be specific, because there aren't regulations. Not really.
It's gonna kill one. It's gonna drop something on somebody and kill somebody, and it's.
There's
going
no laws
to-
yet. That's projection. I'm just saying, like, the truth of the matter is there are no laws yet. That's projection. Like, we already have robots in homes that do stuff, you know, to varying degrees. There's no laws that are preventing these robots from doing the things that they're going to do. So that's what's going to be really interesting.
What's the estimated retail price for Optimus? I heard it's like 25,000.
Yeah.
Elon said 2025 several times. I would pay $25,000 all day long for a slave that I do not have to feel guilty about, and that's exactly what it is. It's cool to own people again. I know it's so controversial, but think about it. You know, especially with AI and you know, AGI. You know, what is going to happen then? But that's, you know.
Imagine where we're going to be in 10,
Optimus
20 years with AI.
Optimus is
Right?
years away from being useful. It's pretty useless. I mean, they haven't.
Sure, but that's why you would want to buy the stock now and not when it's, you know, $1,200, $1,500 a share because the robot's here, you know? So that's why I say, like, it's one of my most highest conviction stocks because I can see the runway, you know, and it's beautiful.
I'm
What about you,
curious on
Brennan?
that Tesla Semi. Actually, Teddy, you might know this. Does it have air brakes?
I have
It
no
has
idea.
regen brakes, doesn't it?
It probably does, knowing the the cars now. I actually saw a video. I don't know where. I can't find it again. I saw a video of a semi racing a Cybertruck. They were literally hauling off of a green light, and it was keeping up with the Cybertruck. I'm like, dude, holy crap, that's a friggin' semi.
The Tesla Semi was keeping up with the Cybertruck.
Yeah, it was.
And the Cybertruck hauls. I mean, it moves like a
does.
sports car. It really does.
It's
It's electric engines are so torquey. I mean, you're
Yeah,
just so
they are.
Mm-hmm.
They are. Hey, the Blazer SS is coming out this year, right, Teddy? Coming up?
Yes, the Blazer SS. I've actually test driven the Silverado EV RST, and man, that thing can haul
dude.
tail.
Electric
Even when
cars
you're
are like 6
trailing
miles.
something,
Yep.
It's amazing.
Yep.
Even when I had the Blazer for a week, they let me get one. And man, I was doing, on the highway, I'm, doing pulls and everything. And, I'm just like, having so
It's
much
fun.
fun,
They're fun to
in
drive.
sport mode. It's literally.
So Teddy, you admit you were speeding?
No speeding, no speeding.
Flow of
I'm just
traffic.
kidding.
Flow of traffic.
Yeah, low
of
traffic,
course.
middle of the night. Yeah.
Hey, Jennifer.
Yes.
This is Jeremy at Dividend Stockpile. Going back to Tesla, how do you balance the innovative products and the future that the company is doing, and then square it off against Elon Musk's unique behavior, if you will, and his approach to things? Personally, I can't invest in Tesla because of the way Musk handles things, but I'm curious, like, what your view on that is.
Well, that's interesting that you say that, because I think there are people out there that feel like, oh, we don't like how Elon's behaving, but Elon has a private life, and he's not, the way that he runs the companies is fantastic. No one has a
Mhm.
problem with how the companies are running. They're all producing products. They have happy workers. You know, just people don't like his politics, and that's unfortunate because I think that everybody, even our CEOs and billionaires, should be able to express themselves. And so I have no problem. I have a very hard time relating to people that have an issue with what Elon is saying or doing because he's allowed to have a private life. Like the company doesn't own him, and he's not hurting anybody. Like he's just supporting the candidate that he believes is the right choice for America. And honestly, the right choice for his companies. Like if Trump wins, then all of the regulatory red tape is gone. It is enormous for the Musk companies, you know? So even from that perspective, I think that he's doing a good job as a CEO because he sees, because Elon looks at things like 10 years in the future plus, you know? And so he's not short-sighted. And I think that he sees that if Kamala wins, it is going to be nothing but more lawfare, more death by bureaucracy. I mean, we're waiting for a fishing license to launch Starship 5, you know, like,
Well,
that's
okay.
crazy.
Yeah, I wasn't trying to get political because obviously.
But that's what you're talking about, though. That's what you're talking about.
It's not.
Like what
Elon-
behavior is questionable.
Elon has been very erratic for years, way before he even came out.
Be
and supported
specific.
Trump. And I could,
Be specific. Just be specific.
okay, some of his posts on X.
What
What
posts? What posts?
All right, you know, I don't have it in front of me. I'm just
because it
asking
is
a
because you
simple
are
question.
talking about politics. That's all I'm
I'm
asking
not.
is that if you have a criticism, if anybody has a criticism, just be specific because I'd like to talk about specific things, not just in generalities.
I mean, okay. All right, never mind then.
She is wearing a dark MAGA hat right now, so.
Yeah.
It's not, it wasn't political, Jennifer. It never will be political. I could care less what he believes in. But one thing to consider is that when you are a CEO of a public company, you do have to consider the optics of what you do. And I'm not saying this
100%.
political.
He's supporting the candidate that's going to do the best thing for all of his
Again,
companies. We are
I'm
waiting
not
for a
talking-
fishing license to
Are we gonna
launch
keep talking about this?
a rocket.
I don't want to talk about politics.
I'm not talking about politics, and that, Jennifer, you brought it to that.
No, I'm asking you what you are talking about. I'm just asking you to be specific.
Okay, guys.
Okay. All right.
Okay, guys. I actually want to circle back to Tim, who asked the original question.
Hey, I actually have
and
to
I don't think
run.
he ever
You
said
guys
what
have a
was-
great afternoon.
Okay.
You too. Bye bye.
You, Jennifer.
You, Jennifer.
Have fun with that.
I did want to get back to you though, Tim, about your original question. What stock or company do you have the highest conviction in right now?
You talk me specifically?
Yes.
Oh, I'll do a twofer. One is right now for me is I'm just looking for a little bit of value, you know, in the market. I'm liking Chevron right now. I've been buying little nibbles at it. I feel like the stock is, you know, starting to trend up. It's got a ways to go. It's got some intrinsic value. It's a profitable company and it pays decent dividends. And I don't think it's going anywhere anytime soon. They're investing a lot into clean energy. So it's something that I definitely have some conviction in and I'm buying some of. And I'll throw in on the ETF side, something that Jeremy had mentioned, iShares DGRO, DGRO. So SCHD is definitely one of my biggest ETF positions, but DGRO is something that fell onto my radar maybe about a year ago. And I've been buying every week. I've been buying a little bit. So I think those are the two that I've been paying attention to the most recently.
Interesting. Okay. Fair enough.
Yeah.
I like DGRO. Yeah, DGRO is
Yeah,
dope.
great.
That and SCHD are like the Bash Bros and Mighty Ducks, man. It's like when they both are running at the same time.
They are, yeah.
Your portfolio, you know, very safe, good income. It's obviously it's boring investing, but safe companies are under the hood of both of those ETFs.
Boring, you know, I'm okay with it. I mean, a lot of growth investors aren't okay with sideways and boring, right? But I mean, as far as being a dividend investor, yeah, boring's it's not terrible. I mean, you know, look at, you know, Jeremy was talking about, you know, retire your wife retiring with like in the next few years, right, Jeremy? So he's, you know, looking for, I mean, if it's stable and it's paying great dividends, I think that's an awesome thing, right? You know, Dave is obviously retired with that life. So, I mean, it matters. I mean, growth is great. Obviously you want growth, but, I don't know. It's okay to be boring sometimes. That sounds so weird to say, right? But you know, it's okay.
Yeah, it's okay. I mean, it's not a race to get to get there the quickest. It's more so who's going to get there with the most profits, the safest way, without losing his.
Right. Exactly. So, yeah,
Much
those are
hard-earned
mine.
money that would come into the market, because I mean,
I wanna-
and you got to start over again.
Yeah, exactly. You look at, like, I mean, everybody's on their path in a different way, right? Like Dave's, retired obviously with that, and I'm kind of in the middle, and then you got some people that are just starting. It's awesome to see these journeys all kind of come together, right, in different aspects. You look at Jeremy, like with it, where he's at in his journey, he's getting close, right? So, I love seeing all that, man, and seeing the different recommendations on what you guys are looking at. I think is awesome, because it gives me ideas too. I think about us feeding off each other it's phenomenal, because you hear about some of these ticker symbols that I haven't heard of before, and I just kind of I'm marking them down to check them out, because I want to see, like, is this something that I should look at? Yeah. Yep.
Agreed.
Yeah, and that's always been one of the big things with this channel, right? Is like talking to people and getting ideas from everyone else and bouncing ideas off, and that's why this this past 2 years has just been quite the roller coaster. And I really appreciate all of you who have been on here. I'm not going to lie, I'm going to completely skirt the question that Tim had posed about what stock do you have the highest conviction in. But I do want to kind of throw it out to Ryan and Willows, the other Canadians here in the crowd, and possibly Jeremy too, if it looks like, oh no, he just had to leave. I'm curious, what are your thoughts on Bell Canada right now? And obviously, Tim, Dave, Daddy, if you know anything about Bell Canada, they're the biggest telecom provider in Canada. If you know anything about that, feel free to chime in as well. But Ryan and Willows, I see you Willows already booing with the thumbs down, but just give me some of your thoughts and feedback on that.
So here's my thing is, like, Amazon, I'm a Prime subscriber because I have a really good experience with them. Their customer service, the service in general, you buy stuff, it shows up, good service. A lot of the Mag 7, they have good experiences for their user. Every single telecom company in this goddamn country is the worst to work with. They're terrible. They have terrible customer service. They don't care. They're a oligopoly, and they're all propped. Our country's literally like 4 mining companies and 6 telecom companies in a trench coat, and that's the entire company. That's the entire country. They are very, very bad customer service, but there's no better option. And even if they're going to make money, I refuse to invest in any company that, like, I personally can't get behind the products.
Fair enough. Yeah, so BCE, I bought them in 2011, and I think I bought some more maybe 2 years later, and I've had them ever since. And I've been kind of bouncing back and forth. Do I trim them or do I cut them? Just because they've really gone nowhere. They have so much debt. It's kind of alarming from that perspective. As far as customer service, I don't disagree. It's very similar across the companies we have. So if you're looking at TELUS or Rogers, the different telecoms, it's pretty much the same experience you can have anywhere. That's just been my experience, my view on it. And again, because consumers don't have many choices, it kind of is what it is, right? And the other thing is, we've seen other external investors, US, take a look and see if they could come into Canada and compete. But because we're so small relative to, for example, the U.S., just from a population perspective, there's not a lot. There's not enough. It's not a big enough pie for them to come compete, right? So, I don't know. As far as the company itself, I would not be adding to it right now, which maybe begs the question if I should, like I said, if I should trim my holdings. Aside from that, though, I do have a solid dividend yield. I mean, I don't know what I purchased it. I'm trying to think. I'd have to look, but something right in the low 30s or $30. So I'm still, up, but when you look at it over a longer period of time, my returns have been very average on BC.
Right, and that's sort of my concern with Bell is the debt, and yet they somehow every year decide they need to raise that dividend. Which, I mean, as an investor,
the last raise was 3%, right?
But and executive pay, right?
Yeah, the dividend raises have continued to get smaller because they're not as far as I'm concerned, they're not managing their debt that well. So, like I said, my yield on cost keeps rising, but it's my money could probably be better placed elsewhere, I feel.
Yeah, you think about.
And then I guess my other concern with them is that they've just recently.
Go ahead, Dave.
Sorry, my other concern with Bell is that, they just recently sold their stake in MLSE, Maple Leaf Sports and Entertainment, which was their most profitable asset. So it's like, okay, you're selling your most profitable asset, and I understand why. It's because you need to pay down this debt, but at the same time, are you shooting yourself in the foot by selling something that's so profitable? Right?
It's short-sighted, I think.
Yeah.
Okay, wow, guys. Jump in. Anyone who wants to.
No, what I was going to say earlier is that what I said about the financial services sector and being like the most evil, I take it back. I think telecom might actually win that fight.
Telecom in this country is awful. Like
they're not great here either. Like they're not.
Yeah. But at least
they'll take everything they can.
At least your prices though, like I pay like $100 a month. Like you can't get like cheaper plans for data. I mean, it's gotten a little bit better, I think, in the last like maybe 3 years. But like, I'll talk to Americans that are like, oh yeah, you just jump on whatever for $15 a month, and it's like whatever. But it's like we don't have discount options really in this country, at least not in my province.
You're in Canada?
Yeah.
Yeah.
What province?
Manitoba.
He's in Winnipeg.
Manitoba. Wow, $100 a month.
Yeah, global now, Winnipeg forever. Wow. Yeah, no, it's yeah, anything that's like unlimited data and stuff like that. It's like 100 CAD.
Yeah, my phone bill's got to be pushing. It's over $90 a month too. Obviously Canadian dollars, and I'm guessing Ryan's yours is up in that.
Yeah, mine's 65, but I'm on a corporate plan, so like prior to that, it was around $100, probably 90 something. Yeah, right now it's 65, which is still high.
Yeah, it's high, and then like data is the most marked up thing like on the planet, margin wise.
Yeah.
Pay AT&T $60 for fiber. That's a gig up, a gig down. So for context, that's US obviously, but
right.
So and then they don't cap data, fortunately, on fiber, so you don't have to pay for that. They don't worry about that, which is nice. So I'll give them that.
I don't know how you.
Everything else.
I don't know how you make like 17,000% gross margin and still don't make a profit and have billions of dollars of debt is just bad management at a certain point, right?
Yeah,
right.
Somebody's not doing something right up there.
Yeah, something's wrong with that. Yeah.
Well, I mean, it costs a lot too. Like, so there a lot of the reason they have these debts is because of upgrading the fiber network, right? So they've been putting a lot of money into developing that infrastructure, which is always a kind of a bit of a double-edged sword because the technology is changing so quickly. But hopefully, these investments will last a long time.
That always blows my mind.
Well,
like,
yeah, that's the other thing, right?
Go ahead, Dave.
I was going to say, well, they're upgrading to 4G, but that's already outdated because of 5G, and then
it is
whatever's next after that. It's like they just keep pouring money into it, and you're like, where's the return on the investment? I guess, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
It's like what I was saying is like it's like public utilities. Like when they upgrade the lines, they charge the customers for it. It's like it's a never-ending profit margin. It's wild, right?
Yep.
You're like when they had the fires here in California and the utilities like PG&E got hit with fines and massive fines. You know what they did? They raised the rates, and they keep raising them. So the customers end up paying for their settlement. It's nuts.
It's like
almost
Florida.
Mind-blowing, right? It's
When the hurricanes hit, the homeowners insurance, we pay for it too.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And they'll make their money no matter what. So you're thinking as an investment, you're like, why wouldn't I buy the hell out of this company? It's never, like legally, it's never going anywhere ever. Like,
well, that's honestly
nuts.
that's why I still have BC. Like the thing, it's like, okay, they have all this debt, but it's like, long story short, the country is going to need a telecom, right? Whether we like it or not. And there's kind of three big ones. And actually, I own all three, so I'm just kind of saying, okay, I'm just going to have a stake in it at least, and at least get some dividends back for what I'm paying out. So,
but I mean, we were talking earlier about ASTS, like.
Right.
I wonder if that becomes like one day if Elon's like, hey, you know what? I am going to do telecom now. Like just flicks the switch on the, you think Bell is getting the money together to launch satellites anytime soon?
No. Right.
So like the technology is.
Something's going to kill them. That might be
ASTS.
That's exactly why I thought of it. Like,
you think about like
Elon
the
already does do telecom.
Those.
You can do a phone call on X right now. I've done it.
it's latency based, right? So that's where the main downfall. It's gotten a lot better than it has been in the past, but latency is the main downfall of things like and Starlink and others. But it's getting better all the time.
Yeah.
And so at some point it's going to challenge them, right? Like it's not fiber yet, but will it be? Maybe. I mean, it's coming, right? So it could challenge them at some point. Absolutely.
Like all the hardware needs to out at my farm, we had a fiber line put in just so we have cell service and whatnot. And then they came and dug it up like a year later because they're like, oh, this is outdated technology. We don't use this technology anymore.
What?
And it's like stuff like that. Yeah. And that was like a private company that only does like rural stuff. But it's like it seems like a no-brainer if you just can have a satellite that does it rather than laying all this, because even there's neighborhoods I live in that are in my city that are 150 years old or whatever, and they just refuse to dig anything up and put new wires in, so you just get bad service and internet speed in certain areas because they're like, it's not worth digging everything up, right? But if you could just get a software update and get a faster thing from space, I mean, that seems like a no-brainer.
Yeah.
Well, guys.
Dave, I hear that rain whipping back there.
What's that, Teddy?
Yeah, it's
I was
raining.
saying I can hear the rain hitting back there in Dave's sunroom or the sunscreen.
yeah, it's raining, a little windy right now. So
yeah. Oh man.
But it's nice. I mean, I got a nice breeze. It sure beats the heat.
Yeah, I can imagine.
Yeah, it's been about 100 degrees Fahrenheit here recently. So we get that late October push where you can have some nice pool weather, and then it goes away. Then it gets into the wintertime, which for us is 64. Californians die. So we don't like that. That's not cool. Don't do that. Everybody's in their big parkas.
That's 64.
I got to come back out there again, Tim. That was nice.
Yeah. It's we don't survive in cold weather here. We don't do well.
That's 17 degrees.
Yeah, we're chickens when it comes to cold
Dude,
weather.
It's below zero right now outside.
That's
wild.
No.
I'm good
I
on
die
that.
in shorts. I live and die in shorts, even if it's cold outside to the bitter end. Well, I'm not wearing jeans. I'm not wearing.
Yeah, I live in a city that's colder than the surface of Mars.
Oh damn!
we had this article that came out that's
actually not an exaggeration either. Yeah.
Yeah, we had this article that came out from some international thing that's this city that's colder than Mars. Yeah, and there was one. It's every so often,
That's
every
a
5
tagline
years.
for you,
Yeah, every so often, every 5 years, we get a year that's particularly bad. I think the last was 2018. We had negative 50 ambient, which is they just stop running
everything.
The buses can't run anymore. It's just they tell you to stay inside. I think it's 45 seconds frostbite at that temperature.
Dude,
but
that's nuts.
But they still expected us to be in school last time that happened. I remember I was in high school and they're like, oh yeah, you still got to be here. It's unexcused absence if you don't come to school. So I'm riding my bike with a scarf and ski goggles and yeah.
No, I have heavy snow gear if it gets below 55 Fahrenheit. That's not happening. No way, bro. Nope. I'm a fair weather Californian. That's just how we do it in Southern California. So
yeah. Awesome.
So what you're saying is you're due for another cold snap this winter, Willows.
Yeah, it'll be cold again, and I'll be pissed.
I don't know. Weather's been so weird.
It has been. Yeah. It's like I said, it's unseasonably warm. 100 degrees Fahrenheit recently we're in fall, right? So I mean, it's been cooler outside. It drops into it's the high desert style, right, where you get the heat in the daytime, and then at night it drops, into the the 60s Fahrenheit, right? So it's nice, but I'd be a liar if I said I wouldn't wish for maybe a little bit cooler weather. We love the 70s here, so.
Well, guys, I totally appreciate everyone joining today. It was a great chat. I'm just going to do a few little cleanups here before we close. If anybody's watching that would like to support, the best way to do so is by sending a sticker or super chat. using the Cash App. I think you should still be able to see that if you're watching the replay on YouTube. You can just $2, $3, $5, whatever would be great. Of course, the other best way you can support is by subscribing on YouTube and following everyone on Twitter. I believe everyone's handles, Twitter handles, X handles are in the description. On YouTube. I'm honestly not sure how it works on X, if you see the description or not. But anyways, yeah, with that said, guys, thank you so much for joining this very special Passive Income Podcast 2-year anniversary live stream. And yeah, any last words before we go?
Congratulations, Dave. Good job.
Yeah,
on,
congrats, Dave. And
putting
Yeah,
a lot of
guys.
effort and connecting a lot of finance Twitter together. I think you're kind of a beacon for a lot of people in this community. So we all appreciate you.
I appreciate
I've
you, man.
learned stuff.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
can
That
only-
means a lot.
Couldn't have learned it and met so many people if it wasn't for your connection and everyone following each other on Twitter and things of that nature. So yeah, you've definitely connected a lot of us.
Thank you,
Most
guys. I
definitely.
appreciate that a lot. That's what this was meant to be right from the beginning, is just giving everyone a voice to come on and chat and tell their stories and their journeys and their adventures. And yeah, like you said, connect with each other and learn from each other. So I really, truly appreciate everything. And like I said, yeah, if you're still watching, please be sure to subscribe on YouTube. And yeah, guys, I can hardly wait for the next year, 2 years, 3 years.
Absolutely.
Definitely.
Awesome.
Thanks, guys.
Awesome.
Great
Pleasure,
chat.
gentlemen.
And our portfolios.
Yes. Best part.
Speak for yourself.
Yeah.
Uh,
You guys take care.